Welcome back, Sports Card Culture Podcast number 34, John.
Honor of Nolan Ryan. I know how you hate it when we say baseball players.
Yeah, is that the only sport we care about around here?
Yeah, it's what me and Evan are.
I want your favorite soccer player, number 34.
Pass.
Okay. Hard pass.
Hard pass.
Boxing? Yeah, they don't have numbers. Okay. Yeah, so it's the 24th of August. It's almost State Fair time. We just got back from the Dells. Big news this week in the hobby.
Right.
Let's
so
jump right
what
into
we got to do here, the last episode, which isn't posted yet, we got some things in the works for everybody. So we got to set up day on the National, but there's some news that is too important not to talk about. And so we're going to that, and then we'll follow up with the National after that.
Yeah, so breaking news, Fanatics has obtained the license. First, they obtained the license to Major League Baseball. I believe that was on Thursday.
And then they were in talks with football right away. We heard about that almost immediately.
Immediately, yep. And so...
And then by the end of the day, they had it.
Yep.
Right?
What are your initial thoughts? And then, I have some too.
And then we find out recently they have football as well.
Football, yep.
So Upper Deck is guarding their IP very closely. So I'm not a sky is falling guy. I think it's
so
bad.
I'm so far from sky is falling. I actually think this is a really good thing.
Well,
I'll tell you why.
I'll tell you the bad thing is, and it has been the bad thing for the last 10-ish years, is the reason why 90s inserts are so cool and so great is because they made a bunch of really bad ones too, because they're always trying to one-up each other. Mm-hmm. And so the problem with one company is you don't have to be creative. You don't have to one-up. You don't have to. And Fanatics, their apparel, because I'm an apparel guy, their apparel is not good.
Yeah.
There's nothing creative about it. They can just slap anything they want. It's the only thing that's licensed. So that's the part that bothers me.
Okay.
So
them as a business company on the apparel side, and that's definitely something you're more connected with than the average person. Let's talk a little bit about Fanatics for 1 second. A lot of people think, oh, wow, there's like some random sports card Fanatics cards, because they've had their hand in the hobby already last year. They had an optic set the last 2 years.
Yeah.
They had a Prism exclusive Fanatics pair box.
And it really looks the same. It just says Fanatics on the back. I don't think I've owned one yet.
It's actually just a color parallel. I don't think Fanatics is actually on the card.
It's on the back.
It's on the set. It's on the set.
No.
Is it on the card?
I
Okay.
saw a picture on the back of the card will say Fanatics. I don't know which card, though.
So Fanatics, for those of you guys who don't know, they're the official license partner of all the major sports, plus golf, plus NASCAR.
Golf.
So they have the 4 major plus PGA and NASCAR. So they basically own the space. I couldn't believe when we were talking to Alex and the guys this weekend that Fanatics' value is $18 billion as a company. Here's my play on everything that's going on. I think Fanatics was in talks wanting to buy Topps. Topps decided we're going to go IPO, and we're going to let the market tell us what we're worth.
And you can buy.
And Fanatics went, we don't like the way the negotiation's working. So what we're going to do is we have the power, i.e. we have the capital to just buy, to pay more for the license than Topps can, which immediately devalues Topps, which allows them to buy Topps.
Is this a feeling you have, or have you heard this?
This is a combination. A feeling that came through some conversation.
Okay.
I would put money down. We are not going to see the name Topps and Bowman go away from baseball cards. It would be absolute suicide. Fanatics is not stupid. They're not investing all this money to blow it up. They're investing this money strategically to lower the cost of – because think about this. What is Topps worth apart from their license? They sell candy, and they sell –
No, they don't sell candy anymore.
Yeah, they do.
Do they?
Oh, yeah. They make a lot. They make more money on their candy still, yes.
How come I never see Topps candy?
So because it's not
I thought
on the
they
name,
did away with the candy side of the business.
Nope. The candy side of the business is still making money. Topps, I'll tell you some
brands,
some numbers, and some brands here.
I had thought they spun that off, or
You can actually buy through their online store right now. Yeah, there's a bunch. So a little bit about Topps. Their candy is actually.
Oh, they own Ring Pop.
Yeah, they own a ton of stuff. They own Bazooka.
Push
They
Pop,
own
Baby Bottle. Bazooka.
Push Pop, all that stuff.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
fair enough.
So Topps, apart from the license for baseball cards, is only a candy company essentially, and so. I think Fanatics use this to leverage the buyout of Topps because now what's going to happen is Topps can't – I don't know if you saw this, but they actually announced that the company that was going to help them IPO now backed out now that they don't have the license. So now Fanatics is in a perfect position to purchase Topps, which they wanted to do at the beginning, because they see where the sports card hobby is going, and they just see an opportunity to make a lot of money with – first of all, the name recognition of Fanatics. Second of all, the website. Third of all, the combination of all the licensing they already obtained for clothing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's the thing, though. I get where you're coming from this. And now this is more of a business discussion than a sports card discussion.
It's 100% business.
I mean, we're not even really talking about cards here. Fanatics has taken a massive risk because if that's the plan, you're saying, well, Fanatics has all the leverage. Well, they don't have all the leverage. They have zero brands associated to them in the sports cards space. And Topps has these massive brands.
Yep.
So,
but Topps doesn't have a license.
So there's a couple.
But we see what non-licensed baseball does. Panini's not doing well
fair
in the
enough,
market.
But doesn't mean they can't make it.
Nope, they can
so
make it.
That's one thing. Two, they don't have to sell Topps. They can literally license out their brand name.
That's what I think is going to happen. I think
Topps wants to sell to Fanatics.
Well, I think they do want to sell because that's why they're IPOing. When you're IPOing, you're selling to the public. You're selling your business. You're saying we want to sell. Right? I mean, whether you sell privately or publicly, you're giving away equity at a cost.
Is there a major shareholder of Topps?
No,
or
it's
a major
it's
owner?
private. Yeah, it's private.
Yeah,
privately held.
Who's the group?
It's Topps company. I actually looked at their documents at one point for some reason.
So it's still a corporation, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's Topps Corporation.
And so it's still shares, but it might be shares owned by a small number of people rather than.
Yep, they're based in New York City. I mean, here's the crazy part. So everyone's up in arms. Oh my gosh, 70 years of Topps running. I'm like, you think Topps is going anywhere? The name?
No.
Zero chance. Topps is baseball cards.
Yes.
Topps is sports cards. Really.
Now,
Topps is the name.
But here's the thing, though. But what we're gonna see out of Topps is many possibilities.
100%.
So we don't know what that is. Obviously for us, for me and you, and for the collector, the best thing would happen is either Fanatics buys Topps or Topps licenses out their name. We don't want to see unlicensed Topps.
Right.
And some weird Fanatics brand that they come up with.
100%.
Where they're going to call it Fanatics for parallels.
Yeah.
Because they're going to borrow that from Panini.
Yeah, it's just really, really stupid.
The Fanatic parallel.
I will say this. On a macro picture, this is a really good sign of actually how thriving the market is. When you have an apparel company caring about the licensing of sports cards.
Apparel company. So Fanatics is just literally we'll make anything and slap a logo on it. So what would you call that? I think there's a name for that.
Right now, though, I just pulled up. Fanatics website. Look at the first things that are for sale.
Yeah.
All sports cards.
Yeah.
A box of Chronicles, a box of basketball championship stuff, and some.
I mean, we're really seeing sports cards go into being the art market. I mean, we've been talking about that ever since we started the podcast, and you and I have been talking about that for a few years now.
Yeah.
It's really getting into a much more refined financial space.
Yes.
Because most art stinks, and most people don't buy art because they love the art. They buy art because it's a good repository for wealth.
Yep.
And it's a good way to sort of avoid some taxation.
It's a good way to have your money liquid, but also have the ability for it to increase in value. Cash doesn't increase in value.
Loses value.
Cash loses. Cash not only doesn't hold value. You're right. It always loses based on inflation, and so cards are, I think, more understood by like the blue collar, even white collar investors that are younger. Yeah, I was gonna say there's probably an age demographic where like there's numismatic collectors that are younger. I just don't know a lot of them. I don't know a lot of guys who collect coins. Coins are incredibly liquid as well.
Right.
Coins are like cards.
The coins are a little more refined. Like you gotta.
It's
have
like historical.
Like I wear a hat and a jersey every day. Like,
and
coins are a little more prestigious.
And there's no barbershop debates about Eisenhower or Lincoln. You know, or like, you know what I'm saying? It's just not
wrong. It's a much more. It's a very blue collar way to collect.
Yep. It's a blue collar way to invest.
I'm buying
slash
this guy
collect
I saw him for a
slash
touchdown last week.
100%.
Yeah.
And so the Fanatics play, I think, is one that tells me a couple things. One, they want a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
And they have the capital, more so that they're so much bigger than all the card companies.
Yeah.
That they're basically saying, I think the play they're making, just we'll see it play out the next few months, is I think they want to actually buy them all. I think they want to buy Panini.
Well, I was going to say that. We haven't said anything about Panini yet.
They want to buy them all. And if they get the licenses for all the leagues, basically they bring those companies to their knees, and they have to negotiate.
Yeah, but again,
they could sell them the license back. Yeah. Or they could buy the license.
I think you think Fanatics has a much stronger hand than they do.
They have $18 billion.
I understand that, but I would argue they have a much poorer hand because they've already spent the money on the licenses without the guarantee of those brands or being able to purchase those companies.
Sure.
So they're not as
But think about it. If you were Fanatics.
But this is the only position they could take. They're not going to start a brand new company.
No, 100%. They have to.
I mean, they don't want to.
Well,
they might have to.
I was told this, and I have to confirm it, but they were already in negotiations with Topps. The negotiations stalled. Topps said, we're going to IPO. Yes, Fanatics was trying to buy Topps before.
I saw a tweet where he said, we didn't even know you were talking to Fanatics, and we didn't even get a chance to counter.
Who's that?
Eisner.
Said
let me find the tweet.
Yeah, let's see if we can find something on that, because it's not and you know what else is not
so no, maybe this was a conversation a long time ago.
For those of you who are aware of business, this is a very cutthroat position from Fanatics when Topps was scheduled to IPO in the next 2 months, I believe.
Oh, that's nuts.
So IPO date, I'm going to pull it up. Topps was set to IPO in the.
Oh, maybe Eisner is the
they were set to IPO in the late second or early third quarter of this year. So when is that? The late third quarter. We're in the
September.
Yeah, it's like September. So literally, they basically acted on this before they could go public to basically halt them from going public. To be able.
Well, yeah, no one's gonna buy in if they're that unsure.
Nope. Yep. Exactly.
About the future.
I think I have a date.
Here you go. Top says it was blindsided by the Fanatics MLB deal.
Of course they were.
Top sales were up 78% from 2020. Holy crap.
Wow.
So Eisner looks like Eisner's the one to make most of the money. My guess is he's the vast majority stakeholder.
Yep.
According to the Wall Street Journal, Eisner's conversation with MLB commissioner. I didn't realize the commissioner was the one that making that deal.
Well, he makes it with the players' union. The players' union's involved.
No, the players' union and the licensing are separate. Players' Association makes their own deal. That's why Panini Prism Baseball is a thing. If it wasn't for the Players' Association, Panini couldn't make any baseball card.
Yeah, but there has to be. There's some sort of agreement. No, there's an agreement. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but there's an agreement with the Players Association, with the league, that the league has the right to license the players in the league without their.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
They're not two totally independent things. In other words, when you're in the NFL, you are at the mercy of the NFL's decisions on licensing.
So, Kaplan from the MLB Players Incorporated, which is their union, their licensing body, never indicated to Topps that the union was negotiating with any other parties about our rights. That's a separate.
So listen to this. Eisner They had agreed to go public through Mudrick Capital Acquisition Company, a SPAC, which is that special purpose acquisition company. So there's these companies that help you go public, right? So you make a deal with I don't know the nuances of what service they all allow.
A SPAC is just an organization of an entity that is designed to either acquire or spin off a company, and then it becomes a company. It's a very temporary organization.
So they were valuing Topps at $1.3 billion, and the deal got terminated as soon as they lost the license.
Yeah,
which is exactly the play. They were absolutely sideswiped, or I don't know what the word he used exactly.
But why does Fanatics need to kill the deal so they could buy it? Okay, yeah.
It makes 100%. So here's the play. Fanatics looks and goes, man, I like Topps. We want to buy him.
Yeah.
Topps goes, we're worth more. We want to go public. We're not going to let you buy us.
They don't want to go on the open market.
We don't accept your offer.
Yeah.
Fanatics goes, well, we have a lot more money than Topps has. If we go to the MLB and we get the licensing that's going to come up in 2026, we immediately devalue Topps.
Yeah.
And therefore,
then maybe we can buy them.
Maybe we can acquire them.
Because the problem with
this has literally nothing to do with cards. I don't think you'll see any change in cards.
The problem with the IPO for Fanatics is they could have used the IPO. Mm-hmm. Because all they really had to do was become
they could have bought all the shares.
What do you call that? When you own 10%
of a share.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So if they could have bought enough shares to hold a majority on the board, they could force them to sell the license back to them. Because that happens, right? The problem is on the open market, the more you buy, what happens to the price? The price
goes
stock?
up. Yeah, the price
keeps going up every share.
So you're,
every 100 shares you buy.
You're actually negotiating against yourself. You're costing yourself more money.
Every time you want to take a bigger position, you just cost yourself more money.
Whereas instead they took the money and they went to baseball and said, we'll pay you more than Topps, and therefore now we can buy the shares at discount.
I was questioning that for a second, but that makes sense because as they would try to buy a position in the Topps, they would have to spend so much more money.
And it would show everyone else, wow, they're really interested in this. We should get in on it too. And then what happens is that sort of excitement.
I'm just going to hold. I'm just going to hold my stock.
I'm not going to sell them.
Wait till Fanatics needs that last.
Which that's interesting because sports cards in general have never caught the attention of like Wall Street big money investing.
Oh, in the 80s it did because
so?
Topps was a public company.
They went from public to private just shortly after the boom, right? The 80s.
Because I remember being in 6th grade looking at the stock part of the newspaper and wanted to buy Topps.
Right.
I remember that, But by the way, they're cheap. They were like $6 a share. I think they probably were $500 million, $400 million. A very small company.
Right. Okay, so Topps first went public in 72.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went private in 84.
Oh, that's hilarious. And then when they go public again.
And then they went public again in 87.
Yeah.
And then they traded publicly until 07.
Yeah, 1990 would have been about when I was looking at it.
Yeah. So there was a small window of public and then private again, and then, which is all it's all who gets the benefit of the profitability.
Here's the thing, that's not a normal thing for a company to keep going public and private. Right. But Topps is not that big of a company, so you can. The bigger the company,
one person can just buy it.
Yeah,
there's enough cash.
Yeah, Bill Gates.
Let's be honest. Relatively, $1.3 billion sounds like a lot of money. That's very small when it comes to IPOs.
Warren Buffett could just buy it on.
You have individuals in the United States that could buy that company easily.
Correct.
I mean, buying a professional sports team costs quite a bit more. I think what they value the Cowboys are valued at like $4 or $5 billion.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're talking Topps is 1/5.
Yeah, 1/5 of one team in the NFL.
One team in the NFL, which is interesting. How I think it's kind of funny when in the short term everyone like responds to this thinking it's going to change things day to day. When Topps went public to private, 84, 87, 07. Cards didn't look any different.
How about
like
this?
Nothing,
It doesn't start until 2024.
Right.
Like, let's stop freaking out for a minute. Just see what's going to happen. Like, I mean, like I said, one person controlling it is not good from a quality standpoint, from a creativity standpoint, from a quality standpoint, from if you're the only game in town, you got the monopoly.
Yep.
That's no good for the consumer.
So it's interesting. A lot of news on the business side of it. Obviously, we had the talk about PSA going from public to private.
Yeah.
Now you have this talk. Now you have some kind of rumblings in the future. We're gonna have to probably follow up on Panini and what takes place.
Well, what about one of the things you brought up at the show at the Dells? You said right when we found out, you go, well, does that mean they're just gonna sell on the internet and they're not even gonna sell wholesale anymore?
I think they probably want to take a bigger position on the internet, but they'll never do away with distribution.
Right, and that's what I said to you. I said, here's the thing: is you don't remove distribution.
Right.
I mean, distribution is a big deal.
Yep.
And so you don't
just
go,
from a very
I just want to
practical
sell on the internet. Well, great. There's people that don't buy stuff on the internet.
Because
I
let's
just
be
want
honest,
to sell at Target and Walmart. Well, there's people that don't go to Target and Walmart.
Right.
You have multiple
and there's a
ways of
convenience when it comes to sports cards that will never go away. People want to walk into a store, look at boxes on a shelf, pick one out physically.
And by a store, we don't even mean a card shop. We mean Target.
Target. We mean any actual retail location. And so I don't see cards ever leaving that. Now, to be honest, it's actually Fanatics might look at the efficiency of Panini's website and go, we think we can do it cheaper, better, and therefore that's our margin.
I'm wondering if maybe they'll go back to selling direct accounts and not going through wholesalers anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean there could be some shakeup on some of that front. I still think it's always beneficial for a company like Fanatics, Topps, all these card companies to sell to individual owners of stores like us, because we're always going to run it more efficiently than them trying to hire employees in all these places.
Now the reason why they go through wholesalers though is because they literally have to create a de facto wholesaling company.
Yes.
To run that. So I don't know the numbers of like how much you save by going through Southern and GTS in terms of labor savings on your own company.
Right.
And then sometimes it's just, this is not, our business isn't doing this, our business is doing, so Fanatics isn't really in the business of, I don't know if I know the answer to that. Are they in the business of distributing their own product? I don't know. Or maybe they are. And if they are, they might go to direct accounts.
They have a huge...
I just thought of that.
They are the... And I don't even want to
Do they
compare
do fulfillment?
Yes. I don't even want to compare them to Amazon because of it's just a different scale.
Well, I'm going to tell you something.
But
if they do fulfillment on apparel and all their other products, there's a very real possibility that they sell direct.
Yeah.
Because what difference does that make? They have the staff. They have the...
Yep. Well, not only this, I forgot to mention, they actually have the college NCAA license. They have all of the major Division I college. They have the NCAA license. So now here's another play. This is something I just thought of. Now that college students can make money as athletes,
you have autographs for college.
We're gonna have college cards, current college players.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So because they already have the NCAA, that could be a huge advantage to them as far as they may already have some sort of negotiation where they don't even have to pay for a separate licensing for sports cards for the NCAA.
Oh, I doubt they do.
Yeah. So as I think of, that's actually one of their biggest. I would guess all of college is as big as probably two of the leagues. Maybe not the NFL, but maybe like NBA and Major League Baseball, or I don't know the numbers, but so now we're gonna see.
I don't know.
The recent ruling on college athletes being entitled to compensation.
Yeah. That's gonna shake up cards a lot.
And it's gonna shake up apparel, right? Because now you can buy the name.
I can put Johnny Manziel on a shirt and actually put Johnny Manziel on there.
Yes. So that's a big transition.
Not a silhouette of Johnny Manziel with some allusion to,
Mr. Football or something.
Or whatever.
Johnny Football.
Like we all know what this shirt is.
So anyway, lot of stuff in the mix on that.
You know what that's gonna kill though? I just thought of that. That's really gonna kill those people that specialize in ripping off athletes.
Yeah.
Because what happens now is people will do a lot of unlicensed shirts of college athletes, and just not reference. They don't pay the athlete because the athlete can't take any money.
Right.
And they're just straight up ripping off their likeness and their play. Now that college athlete can sue those people for using their likeness on a shirt.
Right.
Whereas I don't think they could before because they couldn't receive damages because they weren't entitled to compensation anyway.
Exactly.
I don't know if that's how that went, but that makes sense. Very interesting. So, yeah.
Anyway, so Topps makes candy, for those of you who didn't know.
We have 3 years to go. Let's just see how it plays.
Yeah.
So it's like whenever anything happens, right? Everybody wants to freak out. I'm like, well, let's just see. Let's get the information first.
Yeah.
See how it goes. Then it's fun to speculate.
Right.
But, the sky is falling in cards. They're not spending all this money to destroy the hobby. So
No, I would have guessed they have some major added value that they see. Whether or not the market will appreciate what they're bringing, I think they're trying to add value, which obviously would increase revenue, profitability, all that. I would see that as.
I don't know if monopolies seek to add value though.
They won't be able to maintain the market's value without bringing quality products, because people will literally walk away. Like, the cool thing about the market is, like, yes, someone can have a monopoly, but like this is something that's not essential to life.
No,
in a way
it's
that
not,
they can actually.
But there is and you're not wrong. Like, if it was just pure trash, yeah, then you're like, I don't want to collect cards. I'll just collect older cards.
Yep.
But it doesn't have to be that high.
Sure.
It really doesn't.
The standard could lower, but let's be honest, Panini's not nearly as good, I think, as Upper Deck, as Topps. Personally,
any worry that Fanatics does not understand the history of sports cards and just decides the junk wax era?
No, you're too valuable of a company to not do the research, to not know the numbers.
I mean,
to
Top
not
did it, and I think that's what happened now. Is like they're printing more, but they're not printing so much more like they did because they know what happens when they do that.
Can I just read off a couple? I'm just looking at the article on Sports Card Investor. He covered an article about the Fanatics takeover, and he listed 12 points about the whole topic. He said, here's 12 things to love or hate about the takeover.
Okay.
1, big money is being invested in the hobby.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely, I would have said that's the number one takeaway.
There's been, what, $20 million?
Yeah, it's number 1. Number 2, the new deal could result, like you were just saying, in overprinting. So that your point is production.
But they gotta now the qualifier on that is if they have consultants in that space that says, look, we looked at the history, they did that was very bad, and cards.
It killed the thing.
Yeah, it didn't kill it, but it went into a kind of a depression for a little while, for a decade. And you don't want to lose your money by overprinting. So hopefully.
Yep. Number 3, Fanatics has years to prepare. That's the good news, is even if we don't see any of these deals and they end up creating their own, it's not happening tomorrow.
Yeah,
so
we got 3 years to establish some brands.
Number 4, this could be the death of retail products or local card shops. I don't think so. See it as that.
Especially since they do fulfillment. I didn't even think about that.
Yep. So now I will say their relationship to Topps and Walmart could be a very big incentive. If they're saying right now Target's selling through their website, well, we're just going to do, like they're going to cut Target and Walmart out. That could happen.
Again, no. It's kind of like my store. I don't just sell in the store. I sell on eBay. I go to card shows. I sell on the K-Bid.
Right.
It really, there's no real benefit to losing distribution channels.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you have multiple channels to move your product.
Yeah. That, actually, just to stop and highlight a point of business, that right there it's the essence of not all your eggs in one basket. Right. You want to have, like, even as we talk about PWCC going down, I've already lined up my next distribution channel of consignment through eBay. DC Sports, we'll talk about it maybe on another one. My one buddy's used them for years. They have an online portal. They're super good at like getting their fees are literally identical. Yeah. If you look at Pro Team, they're all charging the same amount to sell your card, and they're all fighting for who's going to get them. Sure. Well, now there's opportunity.
There's zero-sum game.
Yeah. So I mean, there's another channel.
I've heard DC Sports before.
Number 5 point, he says Panini and Topps could focus more on soccer. So they still have soccer, which is an interesting.
It's not enough to stand either one of those businesses.
It might be just in Europe.
And who's to say Fanatics doesn't scoop that up too while they're at it?
Yep. It says Panini and Topps. Number 6, Panini and Topps could see a talent exodus.
Yeah. There's not enough work to go on.
Yeah, not enough work. Okay. Number 7, Josh Luber will reportedly lead this new company. I don't even know who that is.
I don't know who Luber is.
Co-founder of StockX. Okay.
Oh, really?
Innovate and run major companies.
Really?
Is largely a better fit for Fanatics.
I really don't like StockX.
I don't use them. I know shoes, they're popular.
I had gotten... Well, the way... When they did it with shoes...
Explain a little bit what it is for people listening.
I've never used it, but they were doing it with shoes. And what was interesting about it is there's so many fake shoes out there. Mm-hmm. And so the value add was, we're going to sell you your shoes, and we're going to authenticate them. So then the buyer has 100% trust in that they're getting an authentic item. When they got into sports cards, they started selling graded sports cards, and their value add was they were going to authenticate the sports card to make sure it was real. And I'm like,
no,
what?
I never heard that.
And so that was like their initial proposition. I'm like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. Well, I got contacted by...
No. Are you talking about raw cards where they're putting in a grade?
No.
Okay.
At the very beginning, they were just selling graded cards. I'm like, Beckett already did the work. Like, what are you doing? So I don't think they were trying to like take what they were doing with shoes and do it with cards, and their value add went away.
Yeah.
Well, I was contacted by one of their salespeople before the National. They wanted to meet with me at the show. I said, that's fine. And then, of course, they never met with me. And then, which was fine. I forgot about them. And then I got an email, and they said, oh, we stopped by your booth, and we thought you'd be perfect person to partner with us, obviously, because then you'd make more money. Like, it was a really bad sales pitch. But he goes, really great thing is you're anonymous to the customers. And I'm like, I don't want to be anonymous to my customers. I'm building a brand. I'm building a business here. And they're like, and then they go, and we authenticate all these items. I'm like, there's nothing for you to authenticate. So I don't understand the value add here on
the
StockX.
value add that I saw was the bid and ask price, where you have people. It's like a very low friction movement of all slabbed cards.
No. But they
another
didn't mention that part.
And lower fees. Yeah, it's weird because I read a totally different.
Yeah, I'll show you the email. It was just very strange. I kind of responded exactly that. I'm like, I don't really see a value add with your business right now, but if anything changes,
it's just another platform. It's lower fees than eBay.
Yeah, they're really going after eBay. They're going after eBay. Is what they're going after.
100%. StockX is a direct competitor of eBay. Number 8. This is the one we talked about. This potentially creates a monopoly. Fanatics will theoretically have a monopoly over basketball, baseball, and football cards, and monopolies are typically bad for consumers.
Yes. Yeah,
competition's healthy and good. So
I can't think of a single monopoly where you're like, wow, this is great. I can't imagine I'd ever want another company in here offering me services at different prices, and
it's never.
I don't think it's ever been a good thing.
Now the good thing is,
might have been necessary, but never.
Anytime they're now, I don't know what level. What are your thoughts on governments breaking up monopolies? We don't necessarily need to get into that, but there's probably places where they.
I'm okay. Well, that's here's a business school question. This is a very light one. Mm-hmm. Are monopolies always illegal?
No,
because Polaroid is always the example. Polaroid is the monopoly. Mm-hmm. The reason why it's legal for them to have a monopoly is nobody wants to be in that space. They're the only game in town. There's not a big enough market. Nobody cares.
Yep.
And so monopolies are only illegal when they're using practices that are anti-competitive in the marketplace.
Yep.
And so that's why I don't necessarily. I'm a libertarian, which is why Clint said it like that. And so I don't want government getting involved in anything for the general rule. But if you're at a point where you are so anti-competitive and that you're just forcing any other potential competitor out of the market, I can see it happening.
If supply chain on water got affected by a monopoly, I mean, I can't quite think of how a scenario would play out where a staple consumer good would become so monopolized that there would be a place where the lack of competition is actually harming the which I think the government should intervene when people are being harmed. That's why I believe in police.
I mean, ultimately, like when Microsoft got broken up, it was but what they were doing is they were buying out every potential competitor.
Yep.
Those competitors were selling to them.
They wanted the money. Yeah, they took the money.
And it's not like I couldn't. I mean, if I didn't want to sell to them, they were using some illegal practices. I don't know which one, but Yeah, I don't know. Like, usually not.
Yeah.
The market usually fixes just about anything.
So, number 9, I'll just flow through these real quick, and then we'll jump into the national. Fanatics could improve quality control and customer service. That's a big positive potential.
Wrong.
They could.
Wrong.
No, they could look at Panini and go, Panini sucks. We have 30 emails open to Panini, and I have no response yet.
Wrong. The quality is not going to improve with a monopoly.
You don't know though
I
if
do know.
No, because the prices will plummet, and that would hurt them. So they can't let quality go to nothing.
Well, I'm not saying nothing. I'm just saying quality is not going to go up when you have a monopoly. That doesn't happen. That's not going to be a thing.
Well, they don't have a monopoly yet. But if they did get all the
yeah. I mean,
well, I'll say this much: if they don't have soccer, they don't have anything in Europe. None of the sports we're talking about are like the dominant sports in the rest of the world. You know what I'm saying?
Well, baseball in Japan and Korea.
And basketball is pretty big in Asia too, but they also have cricket. They also have soccer.
Yeah.
So you're never going to have a global monopoly. That's for sure.
Yeah. I'm just arguing the second point. The quality does not go up.
Sure. Yeah, and I would agree generally. I'd like to see him prove us wrong.
I'd like
number 10, relationships with dealers and local card shops could be impacted. That's where you and I come in. That's where directly,
well, I think
rubber meets the road.
I think with them doing fulfillment, I can see that happen.
Yep. And actually, I've been impressed by the way Upper Deck has related to card shops mostly.
Mm-hmm.
They don't sell to stores that don't have an actual brick and mortar.
Yeah, they really support that brick and mortar.
They want, for some reason, they've put their foot down to the point where I'll tell you a quick story. At one point, there was a box of the cup listed on eBay in Minnesota. I got a call from an Upper Deck rep asking me if it was our box listed because you can't actually list them for 6 months after release.
Right.
So Upper Deck doesn't want the online thing.
Well,
taking over.
Upper Deck, what they're doing is they're protecting their MSRP.
Yep.
And so, obviously, in the last 2 years, that's not something to worry about.
Nope, it could.
But before, the problem was there was a race to the bottom.
Yep.
And because a lot of card shop owners are poor businessmen.
For sure.
And it's like a 3-year break they take from their regular job where they open a store and then go out of business.
Yeah.
And so, they'll live on these like microscopic margins because it's just like a break in their life.
Yep.
And so that was happening over and over again. And Upper Deck was like, well, we're gonna protect our MSRP.
Yep.
And so that's one of the ways they did it. They
Yep.
hobby shop, price protection.
They still don't dictate what we sell it for.
Right.
They can't.
You can't advertise.
Yep.
They can tell you can't advertise at a certain price point.
Yep. And they don't let even Blowout put their prices online.
Correct.
So you have to really hunt. There's a couple places, and I don't understand why, but like Dave and Adams and Steel City can put Upper Deck prices, but Blowout can't. So anyway, that's
Blowout might be selling cheaper, and then you have to contact them separately. That's potentially they can't advertise the price.
Last couple, number 11, the hobby has gone through this before and became stronger. That's true. They've gone through a lot of card companies. Companies coming and going. And transition of power.
And then consolidation.
And consolidation. And
like right
efficiency.
now, Fleer, this is one of the reasons why we wish Upper Deck had a basketball license.
Mm-hmm.
Upper Deck owns Fleer.
Right.
That little Fleer Ultra basketball would be pretty nice right about now.
And
Fleer Metal.
Fleer Metal. And guess what you have coming out?
Huh.
Skybox Metal Universe Hockey is coming out in a couple weeks.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be the first time you're going to have precious metal gems. You're going to have all the stuff that we loved about those inserts, coming modern. Last but not least, number 12, the loss of Topps tradition is disappointing, but I'm not sure we've lost it yet. I don't think you are losing it. That's my thing is it would make no sense because Fanatics knows they're never going to replace 70 years of history.
You know what, though? I just thought of something. The Players Association did give Fanatics exclusive rights, so Topps can't make baseball cards all on their own. Because they won't have the MLB license and they won't have the players.
But Fanatics can buy or pay for the license of the name Topps and Bowman.
Right.
And I think if you think about the importance of investment caliber cards being Bowman, being Topps, it would be a disservice for Fanatics to not leverage that in their favor. I don't think they could somehow come up with a new brand that's going to sustain the value
and here's
of these
the thing,
previous products.
But here's what I'm saying is Tops can easily just go, no, we're not selling to you, we're pissed.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, and we saw this happen in the 80s. You guys, I wasn't alive. You were. 1981 was the last year that Topps or anybody had an NBA license. So 82, 83, 84, 85, there were no licensed basketball cards.
Right.
Other than the Star Company, which I don't know what their deal was and how they.
Did you ever read as to why? Because that was 3 in 1981.
I didn't, but it's interesting that it went from Topps to then Fleer.
1980, 81.
So, yep, 80, 81 is the last Topps brand. And then not until
6 years. 86, 87.
No, there was no Topps. It was just Fleer.
That's what I mean.
6
years.
Yep, 6 years
of
6 years of no
basketball.
So could we see something like that with? I mean, I don't know.
Maybe.
We might have a few years where. Now, I will say this. Now, as an investor, what does this do for the value of Topps baseball versus Fanatics baseball? There's going to be a clear line in the sand. If we don't keep Bowman and Topps into the future, there's going to be a clear line in the sand where earlier Topps Chrome basketball is more valuable until we get to Prism basketball. And there's a big gap between the loss of Topps Chrome and like people in the market really starting to go, okay, Prism is now the new Topps Chrome. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, here's the thing. Like, nobody liked Prism for about 10 years.
For a long time.
8, 10 years. And so you could almost wait 2 or 3 years, let people be mad.
Yep.
2 years into it, start buying the first year of Fanatics ! On whatever they would call it, and start buying those first year Fanatics. You know, while everybody's still kind of grumpy and
because no one loves change. I mean, you know, it's always hard. But
now we saw what happened with the change in Topps losing basketball. They created the worst looking set ever made in the history of the planet. Curry Topps rookie is just him mugging the camera.
Just a bunch of
pretty bad
portraits, a bunch of high school portraits.
Pretty bad, dude.
Was
they just sending photographers out.
Was that Jostin's or who did that? Was that
Jostin?
Here's your senior photo here of Steph.
He's like, he's in a polo shirt. It worked when they did.
They literally went, we're putting no money.
I'll put it this way: Bowman, 92 Bowman, they got guys in slacks and polo shirts.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. They put no effort in the top.
Yeah,
just
no effort.
Poorly lit mugshots.
How we doing?
All right, national?
Yeah.
42.
What are we?
42.
Let's jump in.
That's pretty good. So we left off. We had got to early setup day, and then we signed off. So first day we got there. What's up?
While we were setting up, the coffee, I wish I had names, man. The coffee and card break guys came by.
Oh, okay.
And it was interesting. I looked at the front of the Beckett magazine this month, and they actually showed those guys they opened a box live the other day of Topps Update, and they pulled a black Update Trout, the 1/67. I was like, oh, I remember those guys. Those are the guys. And they came by and bought a bunch of cards. They're the ones who are connected to like Rob Kardashian, and he was the one who they pulled that 101 Nebula Brady for him or whatever, and kind of got a lot of buzz on Instagram and Twitter and whatever. They bought a bunch of slabs. That was one of our first deals. Was I think like I don't know $3,000 or $4,000 to them of like mainly basketball rookie 10s.
Yeah, I had set up my table really quick. I didn't leave the house for a while because I was like, what else
they don't
am I
let
gonna
them
do
into
there?
the afternoon, yeah.
Yeah, what else am I going to do? It was really lucky because when I got there, it turned out where I was, I could only get in there in that time slot.
Right.
So had I showed up 2 hours early, I would have basically had to go back to the house and waited a couple hours.
Yeah, I think I came just behind you and we just carted stuff.
Yeah, so it was dumb luck.
But it was crazy. We were literally like, I didn't even know if we were going to put cards out. And we started, I was like, oh, we might as well fill the cases the way we want them. And then we'll just stack them up and zip up the bag. If we And boom, there was like people on us right away. Boom, dealers buying.
I had done the same thing. I got set up and then I zipped up the body bag, and my plan was just to buy on Tuesday.
Now, when you were buying stuff to bring back to the shop and sell online, to sell there?
Just buy.
Just value.
Both.
Yep.
Just both, right? So there was a booth nearby me, and they wanted $4 a card, and I asked them how many cards to get it down to 3. I did like 100, which is a pretty easy thing to match. So I started digging, and I ended up pulling out 8. I think it was 8 Taylor Heineke auto rookies, including 2 silver prisms, and so
Nice.
$3 a piece. And then I find out just recently I had like 3 Derrick Henry rookies. Now 2 of them were like $4.
I bought one.
You bought 4 Derrick Henrys. You bought one for like 30.
I paid you way too much for it.
And then 2 of them were like $4, $5 cards. And I'm pricing for the Dells. This last one ended up being a Galactic that was unnumbered, but to 49.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, okay, that was a cool card, So I cleaned it up at this booth. And I think this is...
Which is funny because when I walked up on you, we had some other guys with us. Dan, what's up, Uncle Dan? And there were some people looking in boxes. And it's funny because you think, okay, these guys have probably been here for a while. They probably already got the value. It's like they overlooked a card that you saw value in, and there's a high likelihood you could have overlooked a card that they found value.
I didn't even look at all the cards.
Yeah,
We're talking like there was probably 25,000 cards.
Yep. Just
now, an interesting story was I had already dug in there, right? And then I didn't have 100 yet, so I said, hey, I'll pay you the full amount, but then I'll come back.
Yep.
So I went to your booth because we were going to get lunch.
Yep. We went back to the
and
house.
I said, well, I'm going to go dig. And you're like wrapping up. And I said, I'm going to go dig. And in the box, then Uncle Dan, what up, Uncle Dan? He goes, oh, you're digging? I go, yeah. So he comes back with me, and I start grinding. And I'm pulling stuff out, and that's where I showed him one of the Heineke autos, right? And he goes, oh, that's cool. And he's kind of flipping through the cards, and I look up about 10 minutes later, not even 10 minutes later, Uncle Dan's gone. Like he had given up on the booth, right?
Yeah.
That's fine. So I did that, and I bought my cards, and then when we got back to the house, I'm showing, I'm showing you what I got, and Dan goes, what, you pulled that out and you pulled that out? I'm like, bro, you gotta grind. Like, so here's a good lesson for card shows, right? I'm not throwing Uncle Dan on the bus, but but here's the important lesson for card shows. You cannot flip through a 3-row box of top loaders and just expect the gold to just pop in your hand.
You have to
and
go
so
through each
what
card.
I talked to Dan about, I said, when you see a table like that, it's just full, a $1 table, $5, doesn't matter price point.
Yep.
Grind one box. If you grind one box and it's a bad box, all the boxes are bad.
Yep.
Like, if you don't...
It's a big enough sample size.
If you don't pull anything out, it's all bad.
Yep.
If you grind a 3-row box and you pull out 10 cards that are really good and that ratio is good for you, you need to grind the whole table.
Yeah.
Because the whole table is going to be like that.
Yep.
Brent. People
Brent's
are,
was 2 years ago.
People are very predictable in how they, not predictable.
It's consistent.
They have patterns.
They
have patterns of behavior. So if they put this type of stuff in there, in this one box, they're going to do the same thing for all the boxes.
Right.
And so I also pulled like DeAndre Hopkins Select Silver Prism.
Yeah.
And 2 other base rookies. I was just pulling stuff out of it. But
we looked up a couple years. What was the highest value card you got? For
probably that Henry now.
Like $50 or more.
The Henry I got $250 on that thing.
$250,
Yeah. But the Heinekes are like $120. And those were pretty simple. That was just
so literally
they were
what you paid for everything. You'll more than get back on the Henry if you sell it, right?
Yeah, the Henry and the 2 Heineke silvers, I'll get all my money back.
All your money back.
So
you get a bunch of free inventory at that point.
And so I think that's an important lesson though. When you're out there, if you got to grind one of those boxes if it's like huge like that.
Yep.
And just that one box will tell you everything you need to know.
Yep.
And just do a random one. Doesn't really matter which one it is.
And be thorough in it. Don't go into it thinking, if I don't see a good card in the first 10 cards, that's
not.
part of and that's why even 1, 2, 3, 4 days into a show, there's still value to find because
everybody
I'll be honest. I had this thought so clear yesterday, John. After coming back from the Dells, I thought to myself, we don't necessarily know that much more than that many people. But guess what? I have some work in me, some grind in me, and if you'll work, there is so much money to be made in any industry. If you're willing to actually put in the work, like if you just show up at the national and you expect someone to just hand you $1,000, like
here's all the Heineke autos.
Yeah, like by the way, I went and did that work. No, it's like you get rewarded for your labor in that,
Correct.
your expertise and your persistence and your diligence and you having the money to actually buy it. And so like I just had my thought, like people. I feel like there's a lot of people in cards who just want to buy one big card and flip it and make some money, which is fine.
Which you can do. People have done
which can happen. Yeah. But I still think the backbone of business in sports cards is that lower end. What I did in the Dells, about 180 raw Brady's. I went through all of them the last 2 days, pulled out 28 of them to grade.
Right.
Those graded cards are going to make $4,000. Because I'm going to grade mostly 9s and 10s. And the 10s are going to be crazy because I was like, wow.
But you got to put money into it. You got to put time into it. You got to wait.
And the rest of it's inventory for the shop that is fine. It's good,
And so after that, you guys came up and made you wait a little bit because I had to hit my 100.
You were in
and
it.
Then, and then we were going to go eat lunch, but we ended up back at the house. Because were you looking at the number of people with and going like, this is kind of a big restaurant bill?
Yeah,
because we were gonna go to kind of a swanky place.
Well, and it was like this is the one day where like we can leave in the middle of the day and actually go back and eat.
And so what happened was we hang out at the house, we get back to the show, and then it's literally like 30 minutes, and they close the show. I was like, well, that was kind of not worth it. I ended up paying an extra car park. I'm like, this is the worst $15 I've ever spent in my life. But like I think Dan found some cool stuff. I found a couple cool cards.
I'll be honest because of what I know the national demands of me mentally, physically for the 6-day marathon. Like when that day happens, I'm not really at that point looking to buy that much because I know there's money to be made, but I'm just like I need to sustain my energy to actually be able to buy at the table and sell and just have some energy by the time Sunday rolls around.
So now we're on to Wednesday. So Wednesday is actual setup day, but Wednesday night it opens up. What time did it open up?
Early. Where
like
they
4?
sneak peek is like 4, and if you're VIP, maybe an hour early.
So like 4 to 8 or 3 to 8.
So basically, that day is like a full morning into the afternoon of dealer.
That day kind of sucks because even if you set up the day before, which we did, you kind of get there early. You do it. You set up your stuff or whatever. And you do whatever you're doing, and then all of a sudden 3 o'clock hits, and it's like, oh, you got a 5-hour shift ahead of you. I'm like, wait, what? What's that? I'm ready to go home.
Now the people are coming in, but I was surprised how quick money was being spent because I think a lot of dealers don't come for early setup, and so like Wednesday morning, I noticed dealers shopping.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying.
So
if you had your case cards ready, they were.
That leads into what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
My plan was to buy all morning because my booth takes like no time to set up.
Right.
I go out, I buy the remainder of cards from that $3 because I had a few cards to make up for that 100.
Mm-hmm.
And I start looking. I get to like the 3rd or 4th table. I just kind of browsing, looking for the next honey hole.
Yep.
And I'm looking around, and I'm seeing all this money getting passed around. I go back to my booth and I open up.
Yeah.
I open up and I immediately do like $1,000 on sales in the first like 45 minutes.
Nice.
So I realized very quickly, no, I can't go buy. I have to be ready to sell.
The day to buy is Tuesday. That's if there is a day. Now,
and to be honest with you, a lot of business was getting done Tuesday.
And I'll say this. If I was targeting buying a couple specific things, I just took the opportunity of you're at a booth, people are coming up to you asking one after another, are you buying?
Yep.
I take that as an opportunity to tell them what I'm buying, which was Brady and Jordan autos. Mm-hmm. And then if they had some, look at them, which there was a lot of them. And
kind of get first crack at what they brought.
Get first cracked.
That's nice. So, yeah, so a lot of deals and a lot of bulk deals. Like I sold all my dollar autos and relics all in one shot. Nice. I sold all my parallels. I think that was the next day. Sold all my parallels in one shot.
So you did, and were those dealers who were taking them back to sell them or collectors?
Yeah, I think some was the parallels was a collector. He's like, I'm working on like 14 different sets, and I had all current. I had mostly current parallels.
Nice.
It was like I'm working on that set, and that set.
Oh, perfect.
And so it was like $800. I think it was $800. Now you got a good deal. It's probably $3,000 price, but we're talking about Mosaic blue reactive commons.
Right.
There's
not a million buyers of those.
No.
There's only a handful of guys.
For that entire year and a half of buying it, I sold what I've sold to my customers, and I'm let's get rid of them.
And let's be honest, part of the motivation for me to get open and start selling is like, and it's not. I mean, it's part of the nature, but we have all this sunk costs. It's like I'm spending $5,000 to be here. Like I need to start recouping my money.
Are you on my number now?
I don't know what it was.
So we talked a little bit about
probably closer to 35 for
what the total cost was. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to say, how much was the booth? $1,300. Oh, that sounds not too bad. Well, hold on there, Buster.
Yeah,
like
$1,300 plus the
add-ons. Hold on a second. Like I gotta have a place to stay. I gotta drive. I gotta drive back. I gotta eat.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I had to close my store for 6 days.
Right.
So you add up. I think part of that, my $5,000 is like a little bit of opportunity cost there.
Sure, some loss.
And so because I want to use a big expense number mentally to tell me if it's worth it or not.
Yes. To make it profitable.
I'm going to jump ahead to the end of the story. It's completely worth it. The National, the best deal in sports cards.
I can't believe how much money you can make selling, like if you whatever you have, like just to give you an idea, quantity of cards we sold. We actually had brought 6 display cases, and we had a big L shape in our booth.
Yeah.
And I realized once I got them out there, we're gonna have more space, so I actually rented 2 more display cases. I paid $80 a piece or something to rent them.
Yeah, but I'm like, cost to buy $200.
Yeah, they're like $200 to buy. But I'm like, you know what? Like, those will pay for themselves easily.
Absolutely.
And we brought 4 slab boxes. 4 cases, not 2 rows, like 4 row boxes.
Yeah.
We came back with less than 2.
Yeah.
So I sold almost half, a little bit more than half of the total quantity of slabs we brought.
I think I sold half of everything I brought that was mine.
Yep.
And one of the things I had at the show was a client of mine who I've done business with a number of times had a large batch of oddball and strange unopened wax from the late 70s and the early 80s. There's a little bit of 90s stuff in there, but really weird stuff like 1980 Leaf helmets.
Yeah.
And I had he had come up to me maybe not even 3 weeks before the National. He's like, you want to look at this old wax I have? I'm like, yes, I do.
Yes, please.
So he gets me a list, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. And so we're talking about how to sell it, on K-Bid, because he's a K-Bid client mainly. And, eBay, I didn't really want to do the eBay because it took up so much room. It was going to be a kind of a large grind on consignment. I would have ground it out if it was mine.
Yep.
And so we ended up coming to him like, oh, wait, I'm doing the National. Right? And he had enough there where it was worth doing. I ended up completely selling out of all the wax that we brought. And there was still some left over. You had stopped by, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And because when we went to Des Moines, you went back.
Yep.
And there was a third car that I think was 98% of my stuff.
Yeah.
And so that was a massive.
And the fact, I mean, we're talking quantity. We're almost saying 2 full SUVs. Because of your stuff.
I probably took up a little bit of the other car too, right?
But your stuff quantity wise, you had a few monster boxes, but no like sealed cases or any product.
My own stuff?
Yeah, it was all the consignment.
Yeah,
cases.
It was all consignment. I didn't have any wax though.
Yeah, so we're talking like
I had 3. So this is what I bought. I bought 3. Actually, so here's the thing. I bought 3 display cases, and a 3-row and a shoebox for singles. And then I had all my bulk. I thought I'd be able to blow the bulk out.
Yep.
The whole story with that later.
Yeah.
And so that's what I had. And then I had the wax, right? So the bulk and the singles took up my car.
Yep.
Almost completely. But yeah, the ability to, and I probably sold all the wax to less than a dozen people.
Yeah.
Probably less than, these were large buys.
Well, talk about the Star Wars buy. So you had a big deal with 4 Sharp Corners, right?
So, yeah. So what happened was one of the things my client had was 1978 General Mills Star Wars cards. These were serial premiums. And the way it worked was there were 1 per box. But like the first 6 cards were in like 2 types of cereal. The next 6 were in a different, blueberry for the next 6, and then Count Chocolate was the last 6. And 18 card set.
You talked a little bit about it last time. I think.
Yeah, so we bring them by. I look up these sets sell anywhere between $75 and $150 a set. When it's all said and done, there are 40,000 cards divided by 18 at $75 a set. Now I had to explain to my client that's not really the way that works, because once you put enough on the market, that price starts tanking.
Yeah.
So it's the opposite of the Fanatics buying stock, right?
Yep.
As I keep putting more out there, people are like, wait a second.
So that's over 2,200 sets.
Yeah. So what happened was I finally get them all. I take one batch and I start sorting them. So here's my plan. My plan is I am going to divide them. I'm going to sort them all by card. So all the ones, all the number 2s, all the number 3. And people are going to build their own set. They'll be able to choose what card they want, build their own set. I'll sell them for like 60, maybe $50 a set, right? And
you have no idea how long it'll take to sell them.
No, but that was a cool way of doing it. I don't have to put the stuff together. You can pick out what card you want, look for centering, whatever, right?
Yep.
And so I get through the first box, which is 2,200 2,200 cards fit in one graded single row box.
Yep.
And they fit perfectly in those single row boxes. I had one number 10 in the set.
Right.
Well, I also have double the number of number 14. Number 11.
So there's a clear short print double
There's
print.
a short print double print problem here.
And you know what? That makes sense because the set was how many?
18.
It doesn't actually.
No, it doesn't.
It should have been it should have been 2 9-sheet sets.
But it's very clear that it was the Han Solo that was double printed. It was very clear it was double printed because when it all was said and done, I had 2,200 of every card except for 10, and I had 4,400 Han Solo.
Yep.
This is not like a mystery.
Yeah.
Of what's going. And I had, when all said and done, I won't tell the long story because it's already a long podcast. 4 sets. 4 number 10s were in 40,000 cards. That is a 0.1% hit rate. And so what ended up happening was I sold one set to our friend Matt. I kept one set for my client. He wanted one set back. And by the way, that doesn't include, I had like 500 of these binders that got sent with it. Because part of the deal in 1978 was if you sent in 3 UPC codes and $1, you got the complete set of
Which is
binder.
interesting because in 77, Topps had a licensed Star Wars set.
Yeah, that's the first.
And yet
Star Wars
somehow General Mills paid for licensing of Star Wars, or I wonder how that all worked.
Well, Star Wars licensed everything out to everything.
At that point, they just were
willing to make
some cards.
Money like crazy.
Like the fact that General Mills decided to get into making sports cards on any level.
Yeah, but it's a zero premium, though. I mean, that's a pretty normal.
Have they normally, though?
Oh, yeah. There's cards from the 60s that were
General Mills?
Yeah,
okay.
Gen 70s that were serial premiums. And even like cabinet cards. Those are just, you went to the carnival and you put in a nickel and the card came out,
Yep. And
so I had to change my strategy here. And so I couldn't do sets. And so I get to the National. My goal is to sell it all to one person.
Yep.
I set up my case, and after probably only a couple hours into Wednesday, I go, I'm changing this. I made one display case where it was just Star Wars, and I just laid out the Star Wars, and I put a sign that says partial set, $40. And because I wanted to make a big splash of what I had, like a whole display case was just selling the Star Wars card. Mm-hmm. And I had the other cards on the dolly. Like I never even took them off the dolly. And so I was getting a lot of attention about that. What's this? I'm explaining it. And then do you remember what day it was I sold? Did I sell it Thursday? I sold it early.
No, I think it was Friday.
You think it was Friday? So Wednesday I sold like a couple sets. Thursday, okay, then that makes sense. So then Thursday...
Because it wasn't that night. It wasn't the first night. Thursday was the late opener.
Yeah.
Friday was the first
Wednesday was the late opening. Yeah. Then Thursday was the first full day. So that makes sense. Yeah. So at the very end of the show Thursday, I had a guy who was looking interested in buying a lot. At least a large number of sets. But he kept going like, well, what if I buy a lot of partial sets from you? I go, how many is that? And then I couldn't quite get him to pin down a number. I'm trying to figure out what the angle was. And I said, he goes, what kind of break would you give me? I go, not much of one. I said, I that would be a huge disservice to my selling the entire lot to the next guy if there is 100 sets or 100 partial sets out on the market that somebody else controls. And that's what I told him. I said, look, you're actually harming my ability of selling 2,100 other partial sets.
Right.
Because now there's somebody else who has a strong position that can undercut whatever price. Because I don't know how much or how the person who acquires it's going to want to sell it.
Right.
I have my theories on what I would do, but so says, okay, I'll come back tomorrow. Then almost right away Friday, then probably 11 or so. I can figure it out because I got a timestamp on Instagram. So a guy comes up to me, and we start talking about it. And he's playing the game. He's just like, he's obviously interested, but he keeps going, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And of course my response is, yeah, I kind of want to do that work though. Like I'm kind of hoping I bring it back and I just buy it off of him. And so, which is, by the way, the reason why that my response is effective is because that was the truth. Like I kind of wanted to grind that lot out myself.
Yeah, when it's actually true, people can tell too. Like this last weekend, I had somebody wanted this Brady patch, the triple National Treasures that I had. And it was one of those cards where I'm like, I was being genuinely honest. I was like, I'm gonna be sad if I sell this card.
Yeah.
And I'm not giving it to you any less than the amount I have on it. Like,
and
to be honest, I'd rather go home with it because I just know I'm never gonna replace
it. Here's the thing. So my number was 10,000 on that lot.
Yep.
Which is a quarter a card. I mean, quarter a card, man. Like. PSA, there's very few PSA 10s. There's, I think, a dozen PSA 10s across all 18
And I
cards.
guarantee, well, now that we found out who's going to buy it, I'll let you say that till later, but I guarantee their initial thought was, we are going to control the pop report on the graded PSA
absolutely.
cards.
And we actually had that discussion, right?
Because actually, one of the plays would be actually to grade, like, let's say 500 of the best cards, condition-wise, and then put together sets of 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s. And if that means you have to go out and buy the number 10 that you're missing,
right,
and then grade those, that's what you do. Because then you could literally sell a 7 set, an 8 set, a 9 set. You could maybe find a 10 set,
No, after that many cards, maybe. Now, here's the thing, quality control. You want to talk about quality control. Quality control was atrocious. Now, what was nice was these cards were well taken care of in the sense that the corners weren't all messed up. Right. But just, like, this was a serial premium. There wasn't a lot of attention being spent on ink quality, cards. It was like paper stock cards.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like card stock. So we talked about it. We came to $8,500 in the end as the buyout price.
Nice.
And so Steve had told me, like, he told me who he was.
Yep.
And I go, oh, cool. Like Steve had bought from him before. What's up, Steve? And so I go, oh, that's cool. So I got a picture of our deal on Instagram with, do you remember the guy's name? I can't remember his name. Mm-mm. But we're standing there, and then you'll see on the bottom of the picture the cart of boxes. That's all the Star Wars cards.
Nice.
And so that was a big.
And did you say who he worked for already?
Oh, Four Sharp Corners.
Yeah, so they were
massive grader.
They for the longest time. Now I had a conversation in the Dells.
Yeah.
With a group of graders from Wisconsin
that
said they just passed them.
that they were the largest graded submitter, but apparently that's not true.
Apparently, they were for the longest time, and then this group in Wisconsin just surpassed them. And
that's a recent development.
It's in the last couple of years. So Four Sharp Corners, if you guys are familiar, if you're putting together, like I collect Paul Molitor PSA 10s, I've bought more PSA 10s from them than anybody else because they'll have $25 10s, $30 10s that I need, and they just have oodles of them.
And I had heard maybe like 50,000 cards a month.
Yeah,
they might send.
They're grading a buttload. The number I heard from these submitters was based on their PSA bill per month.
Yeah.
And it was in like the $1.4 million range a month.
Right, per month.
Yeah. So meaning
fees. So you got to kind of go an average cost per fee.
Obviously, they're sending some on Express, but let's say you're sending.
And they get a deal.
Let's say you're sending $1.2 million, and your average card is, what should we say, 15?
Yeah.
Let's say $15. That's $80,000 a month.
Right.
So, but it's interesting that you bring this up. Just to give everybody an idea of how few of these are out there. Right now on eBay, there's only 4 Star Wars General Mills graded cards for sale.
Right.
4.
Right. And a lot of them are 4 than 5.
An 8, a 4, an 8, and an 8. That's all that's available right now.
It's one of those sets that aren't impossible to find, but they just don't. There's not a lot of supply.
And what I think is going to happen is those guys are going to grade a bunch of them, and then they're going to get to control the market. And they're going to be smart about how many.
Yeah, they're going to leak it out a little at a time.
Well, I think those list one of each grade.
Even if they grade 500 of the best ones, you know how many graded 1978 Star Wars cards there are? 600.
Yeah, they're going to double the pop report. Or the
quadruple 6 times, and it's still only 600 graded cards.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. One of the things I kind of went past. One of the reasons, kind of missed, like, how did my guy get all this stuff?
Yeah.
His dad was in the salvage business, and and I don't know this, but I know this. General Mills is a Minnesota company.
Yep.
And in 1978, they had their leftover inventory from the promotion, and then his father bought it out. Yep. And that's how you got 40,000 of these put together. And so one of my theories is I think there was a short print, and they sent out as many sets as they could. And then when they ran out of number 10, they just stopped sending them out.
Well, because I think those guys realized, of all people who have an idea of how few a card, how rare a card is, because 4 Sharp Cards buys so many cards and they grade so many cards. I bet they walked by and went like, "We've graded 10 of those ever," and there's all of a sudden 40,000. It's just
or based on the popular report, they graded 1 or a set.
No, there's 300 graded or something.
Are they 300 graded?
Yeah,
I thought there was only like 130.
No, I pulled up I'll tell you right now as we keep going.
Why did I have in my head there was like 140?
So that was a big weight off your shoulders in the sense of one of the big goals you had for the trip immediately.
I had talked to my client about what I thought I could bring back. And it didn't include the Star Wars because the Star Wars was a big X factor. And that was the first big sale that I made. Like big sale. Like I'd done, a few $1,000s already in wax.
So my big one was the same night. Well, it would have been sneak peek Thursday night. Are we talking Thursday night or are we not?
No, Wednesday
night.
I'm on Thursday now. We're going back to Wednesday.
So Wednesday night, I had somebody come up and look at the 2009 Bowman blue Steph Curry number to 1948. Had that card for a while. It was in Beckett 9.5. And clearly they were interested. And this guy, I had met him before. He works with a company called Next Gem. They're making an app to display and categorize and like catalog your cards. So you snap a picture of it, and it puts it in a database. It makes it very easy to scroll through and show people for selling. And he's brokering cards on behalf of a client of his.
Right.
And I think that's who he was buying. And so we ended up negotiating a price. I think I had like $7,500 on it, and we ended up agreeing on $6,700. It took him 2 hours to go get the cash. Right. He's like, I have to go back to my hotel room. I was just like, okay, all right. So we get the deal done. Then the cool part is he goes, I bet you'd appreciate some nice Kobe Bryant cards. I'm like, yeah, man, let me see them. And he pulls them out of his slab case where he's putting the card after we get done shaking on the deal and whatever.
Yeah.
And he has 2 of the 96 EX credential Kobe rookies. They're numbered to $4.99.
These are the ones with the thick borders but the clear middle.
Clear middle, thick border, and the credentials are white. And it says credentials on the top. It's numbered on the back. He has 2 BGS 9.5s.
What are they numbered to?
$4.99.
$4.99.
And immediately I'm like, wow.
Right.
Those, I think he told me there's a total of 11 9.5s and like 8 PSA 10s. So combined gem, there's about 20, and he had 2 of them right there. And I'm like, can I take a picture with these? He's like, sure, I'd love it. And he goes, actually, can I record your reaction? He goes, the guy who owns them, he goes, he just loves seeing people enjoy these cards.
Yeah,
I'm like, I can't believe I'm seeing these cards. Guess the value on these. Did we talk about it?
Yeah, you had put it in a caption, so I think I'm cheating here, but wasn't it like $150? Or?
Each card was $300,000.
Oh, okay.
The last PSA 10, I want to say, did $1 million.
$1 million for PSA 10.
A PSA 10 is quite a bit more than a Beckett 9.5.
Well, this was the very early days of the super short print run. So we talked about Flair Masterpieces 101s, and then what was the name of the ones that are out of 100? The Legacy Collection.
Legacy, yeah.
And so this was the first time that happened was the year prior, right? Or was it 96 the first year for Legacy Collection?
96 is the first year.
Yeah, so we are in the very first year of the super low print run.
And
super
think about
hard
this.
to pull
This card is probably, I'm going to guess, 4 times rarer than a Topps Chrome Refractor.
Right.
Topps Chrome Refractor, I guess there's probably a couple thousand, wouldn't you guess?
Yeah.
And the Black Label just sold for like, what, $2 million or whatever?
Right.
And so these are the highest, and these cards are brutal to grade. I've graded the non-credential EX and gotten 7s and 8s regularly. Like,
well, the part of the clear in the middle is it's also kind of die cut without being die. I mean, it is die cut, but there's like plastic in the middle.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard.
And it was
to
funny.
like
I
that.
had to take a picture and I put something on Facebook of like, this is what $600,000 in basketball.
Yeah,
cards
I was
like.
reading the comments like, and then everybody knows you. They're like, so how much you pay for that?
and somebody's like,
nope.
good job if you bought those. I'm like, yeah, I'd like you to think I bought those.
No.
No, these did not come home with me. These were fun to see in a guy's box. So that was fun. I made, and then I sold Uncle Dan a Jordan rookie right away, a PSA 6. So I had 2 big sales right off the bat. But then it was like, just grind. I don't know about my thought on the show is like, it's so important to be mentally like focused, because the amount from when we open until when we pack up the booth,
when
never
did you
stop.
get your first 5-minute break?
I took a couple where I just either went to the bathroom or went to get
Let me
food.
rephrase. When was the first time you had 5 minutes where nobody was at your table and nobody was looking at your stuff?
Never happened.
It happened to me Sunday at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, I don't
about
think,
3 o'clock.
Oh, okay, yeah.
2 hours before
we closed.
I had about a 7-minute lull.
It was unreal.
And then we're back off to the races.
And it was just literally like my brain at the end of it just is like hurts from.
But it was deal. I had so much energy.
It's
it
fun.
was deals, and then I was buying. So right before the show starts, I get contacted by a friend of mine who's in my hat collector group. So I collect hats as well because cards aren't enough. And he goes, "Hey, can you get these DJ ski cards at the eBay booth?" And I'm like, I don't know who DJ Ski is, but okay. Mm-hmm. And so I started doing some research, and we figure it out. We go over there, I grab a couple cards, and I'm like, okay, I want to make a set for him. I started just buying them off people. I just put a sign out. I put the 4 cards out, and I put a sign out saying buying DJ Ski cards.
And they're iconic Chicago. It's
so
like Jordan.
It was Chicago, so Jordan, Kane, Cubs like cartoon bear, and then like
Walter Payton or something. Or?
No, like another bear, but for the Chicago Bears.
Okay, yep.
And then there's a 5th card if you got this, so you could only get. It was free. So
and there was some sort of reference to Kanye West, right?
Yeah, so if you look at like Kanye West album covers,
yeah.
you can see the influence from him album covers to the design of the cards.
Oh,
themselves.
so DJ Ski is the one who designed Kanye's.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that connection.
No, I don't know if he designed his covers, but he was taking influence.
Yeah, like College Dropout has little bears on it.
Right, and so the Chicago Bear one looked like College Dropout.
Yep,
right?
Yep.
And so, so the way it worked is you went up to eBay and you, they gave you a little spiel like, oh, you can sell cards on eBay. Well, I don't know what you said. Yeah. I'm like, whatever, give me my card. So they had iPads and you filled out your name, your address, and all this stuff. And then they just gave you a card for doing and a coupon for $10 off an eBay purchase.
And now, was there a known print run on these DJ Ski cards?
2021. So
wait,
each card was numbered to 2021.
2021.
There's a Buxton one. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, well, yeah. DJ Ski makes cards for Project 70s. He designs cards for Project 70s.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different crossover. DJ Ski is one of those DJ, artist, marketer, businessman, all that kind. And then I was saying Wikipedia because I'm a nerd. He's from Minneapolis.
Oh, wow.
He's from Minneapolis, so now I like him.
Really?
Yeah, now I like him.
That's cool.
And so, but the way it works is once you got the set, you could register the set, and then you'll get a 5th card in the mail. And that card is print to order. So they're only going to print as many sets that got registered.
So that's like a Panini Instant type scenario.
Right. And so I ended up with 4 sets, but I ended up doing 3 at one address, and then I found out on his Discord that they're weeding out the cards from the same address. So I'm only gonna get 2 sets. But fortunately, I got my guy didn't know I was getting a 5th card, so I was like, I got you a 5th card, So,
Nice.
but so I started buying them from people and wheeling and dealing, and it was that was kind of a fun thing. So what's cool is I ended up keeping a set. So what I'm gonna have my friend Laura. What's up, Laura? She's a framer. She made the frame out in the hallway with the arrow on it. I'm gonna have her make me a shadow box or whatever with the Star Wars set that I kept.
Nice.
The DJ ski set once I get the 5th card in there.
And that'll be a memorial to that show too.
My badge and a picture of me and Lucky at the booth. What up, Lucky?
Nice.
Lucky's my college roommate. He helped out for a week. One of my favorite people in the whole world.
What a treat.
And then maybe like a badge for the national. Then every year at the national, I'll have her make a new one.
Yeah.
And then
because every year there's some sort of chase set like this.
Yeah.
Beckett did it a couple years ago with like the metal ones.
Yeah.
And if you got the 4, you could redeem it for an autographed one.
Right.
And there's like Stan Musial and
or
Dennis
it
Rodman.
might just be like if I got another. Like one of the things I could have done, I could have kept a pack from the wax that I sold.
Right. Now I will say that the one disappointing thing this year about the National was the badges didn't have cards on them anymore.
Yeah, what is that all
they
about?
Decided to
we
cut
never
some
talked
costs.
about
Panini
that.
never decided we're doing away with cards. So now we just had these plain vendor badges, which that became a collectible every year. Was if you got the card with a really, and I don't know if you ever saw this, but like
I never got a good one.
Bradley found a card in a National badge, and it was an actual Russell Westbrook 1-of-1. They actually put an actual.
That's awesome.
It was a 1-of-1 in.
I never heard about
badge.
that. Yeah.
She's got this. I'm like, how did they just
That's
like?
crazy. Yeah, I was disappointed about that. I was waiting to see what. I always got scrubs on mine, but.
I would always trade for like Minnesota guys, so we could kind of
But like that was I was like when you said that I go there was nothing disappointing about that, and then like you said that I'm like yes that was a disappointment.
That was actually a disappointment.
Like, I want my card, man. Like
so
what are we doing?
What did you think? How many total Star Wars were graded? I'm looking at the number here.
I thought it was like 150 total.
418.
Oh wow!
So
wow.
decent. I mean, but relative to
I processed a lot of information.
That's 418 relative to 78.
Yeah.
Or sorry, 77 when Star Wars was made. I'm going to tell you that number right now. Guess what that one is? The big Star Wars set, there's 46,000.
Right.
So the top set, there's 46,000. Your set, there's 400.
Basically, all the cards I sold them is still less than the population report of the 77.
Of this whole 77 set. Right.
And believe me, there's definitely some cards that are not gradable in that lot.
It's unreal.
So that was a great sale. And then I got a story for the end of the show.
I'll say here's just a
else?
general thought was something that crystallized for me throughout the show that became something I actually thought about after it had happened a few times was I realized the value to trading.
No.
To trading. Now, some people take a hard approach as a dealer. They're just like, we're just selling. I started realizing early on, we have a bunch of cards that some of them have high prices on them. Like, for example, I had a Kobe Stardate PSA 9.
Yeah.
I had $2,500 on it. A guy comes up. He's like, hey, I really want that card. I have $750 cash, and I have a bunch of trade.
That's a great deal.
I said, let's start talking. And I ended up getting out of that trade a whole bunch of Kevin Durant rookies that were all graded. Topps Chrome, couple paper, nines, all this stuff.
You kind of like Kevin Durant.
I like Kevin Durant. I think he's undervalued. I think he's liquid. I also was like, if I can get $750 in cash and another, let's say, $2,000 to $2,200 in trade, I'm actually coming out ahead because I think the goal is always volume transactions that are all profitable. Some of them have more cash. Some of them have more cards. What was crazy was as soon as I got that deal done, the guy standing next to him, watching the deal go down, go, I want the Chrome Durant.
I already knew what you were going to say.
I sold 2 of the cards in the trade before they went back into the case.
Yeah.
And I started thinking to myself, I need to be just trading for the stuff I know will sell.
Well, let's understand. You just alluded to something. This is good for people. Our podcast is not for the beginning collector. I mean, let's just be clear. We're not going to ever have a show about how to use soft sleeves correctly. Like that's not what we're about. But if you're relatively new at selling cards, especially at card shows, is having deals where if you have a $100 card and you can get $60 in cards and $50,
that's a win.
And you can keep doing that.
It's a huge win.
You're up. I mean, in that example, you're only up like $10, but you got $50 out of that card now. in cash.
Otherwise, the card was just sitting there.
And now I can take that $50 and maybe buy a $90 card with the $50.
Right.
And then maybe I'll take $40 and $50 in cards.
And the other thing,
keep
too,
running
is
it out.
if I have cards that someone's collecting, like, for example, I did a trade, I remember, where a guy was collecting Klay Thompson and A.J. Brown. Okay, I mean, they're both good. I mean, I like Klay Thompson,
but they're
right?
not
They're not the most sought after.
No.
I had a couple A.J. Browns, a couple Klay Thompsons.
I think A.J. Brown.
And I traded all 4 of them. This one I did straight trade.
Yeah.
I traded all 4 of them into a graded Patrick Mahomes rookie.
Yeah.
And so I took 4 cards that I'm not sure I can move. I had that card sold by the end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I may not have sold the Clays and the A.J. Browns had I not done the trade.
So you took illiquid cards and turned into a liquid card by doing a straight trade.
By doing a straight trade. So that's the other goal is you're not necessarily, even if I don't go up in value, but I go from maybe obscure to more mainstream.
Well, listen to this. I was doing stuff where I was acquiring cards for K-Bet.
Right.
Well, I was taking out some of the junkiest cards. Yeah. Like PSA 8 Mark McGuire Topps rookie.
Yeah.
Right? That card sells like
Dog crap.
dogs on K-Bet.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I want these 2. And I know the guy's like, why? The Mark McGuire craze was a while ago. You know, like, I don't care. Like, you know, so you never know what the other guy wants and why they want it.
Right.
I mean, I'll pay you more for things that almost nobody wants because I know they do well in a certain space.
Yes.
Now, I think the more classic example is I want Twins, I'll sell you Brewers.
Yes.
You know, that's the more classic one.
I regularly did. I did multiple deals where I actually took trade for Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, stuff that I was actually going to bring home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because once the football season starts here, I'm just going to need more Vikings autos, and I just don't have enough of them.
Absolutely.
They're
so I don't have a lot of stories from the National in terms of like I have one. I'm kind of holding off on it. But it was just a lot of bulk deals, and then a lot of just like $40, $50, $80 sales. Max sold a Mahomes rookie for I think $400. What's up, Max?
Nice.
Max is the kid that works in my shop. Super cool kid. Really.
I'll say this much: people who want like their kid. I mean, Max is learning something at that show that I wish I would have learned at his age.
Absolutely.
Like he's learning a skill that transcends sports cards.
And here's what happens is like I probably overpay him because he's 14 and 14-year-olds aren't worth anything. But for what I get back in return as work, I'm underpaying him, right?
Right.
But the way I'm really massively overpaying him is he's basically an apprentice.
Yeah.
I am teaching him the entire trade.
To have that experience of the
here.
background of the National, what goes into being a dealer, and then and also gaining the confidence that I can make transactions that are profitable and do the research and feel confident and negotiate and everything that goes into it.
And I can give him a lot of perks going to Southern Party and then putting 5 cards in my display case at the biggest card show, in which he sold 2 of them.
And being able to sell them.
Yeah.
And they actually sold them.
And but he's I'm very jealous of Max. I'm extremely jealous of the opportunity he has. But what I'm more jealous of is that he can see the opportunity.
Right.
That's the problem. A lot of times we get opportunities and we don't see them.
But let me say this.
We're blinded to what
somebody could be listening here and go, well, I'm not 14, I'm 36. It's not too late to recognize your opportunity,
so
right?
What? Hey, if you got laid off from your job, and okay, this is not about the National, but here's the thing. I was building a business so I was out of work.
Yep.
I'm going back to school to get a CPA.
Yep.
Surprise baby. I start doing an apparel business, a thrifting business. I meet you.
Yeah.
How many times did I go do stuff with you and you're like, hey, I could pay you like $20? And I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
The $20 is an hour is irrelevant. I didn't want the $20. I wanted to incentivize you to let me be around as much as I could at the card shop because I'm taking in some of this information.
Right.
I've collected longer than you.
Yeah.
You've been a dealer longer than me.
And you could have taken the route of been like, man, my bad luck of now I have a baby, I'm stuck. And like you didn't make excuses and you put yourself in opportunities to learn.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
But that's a real thing. So if you're out of work, or even if you're not out of work and you've got a full-time job, but you want to learn the hobby, go to your local card shop 100%. And say, hey, can I list cards for you? Can I whatever?
And I do have a huge gratitude to you and other guys that have worked for us that have done that I know what I'm offering you just monetarily is not enough.
No,
but,
it's nothing.
But the reality is there's more. As I always say, the oak tree is in the acorn. Right? So the acorn represents that whole tree if it's planted.
Well, here's the other thing too. So, do you have student loan debt? Or you got lucky. So I got $30,000 still left in my student loans.
Right.
No expensive colleges for someone to teach you how to do something.
Right.
And I'm actually one of the few people that use a decent amount of what I learned in college.
Most people pay in college for a huge majority is not what they're actually going. They're not able to use it.
And so what happens is if you want to learn this business and you find a shop owner who's willing to teach you the business, and he's like, hey, all I can give you is $5 an hour. All I can do is put you on commission. All I can do is awesome.
I mean,
you're gonna get
one of the guys, Chris, who was with us at the National. One of the things I offered him for helping us work was like he kept having me give him feedback on deals he'd go do.
Yeah.
And he watched me do deals. Yeah. And also, like, learning how to sell cards on eBay yourself. All the things that you offer Max. Max is able to watch you and go, okay, these are distribution channels. This is how to make a smart purchase.
One of the things was when I was selling on consignment for you and Mark over at Papa Hawks in Golden Valley is my commission is not very high, right? But what happens is I built these relationships with you guys where we would talk a lot. I didn't have a card shop.
For sure.
I'd come in, you give me stuff. How much do you pay for that?
Yeah.
Well, why? What are you going to do? Well, I'm going to do this with this, and I'm going to do that with that.
Yep.
Oh, that's interesting. So somebody was willing to sell you for that price. Yeah, that's how the negotiation went down. Mm-hmm. I got an inside look to all that before I even opened my shop.
Right.
That is a massive amount of value.
Huge.
Massive amount of value. And between you and Mark, I've never bought a collection before. Mm-hmm. November before I opened the store. But I was highly confident. I bought a 500,000 card collection.
Right.
That was my first collection that I bought. But I was highly confident going into it because of all the information I got from you and Mark over the previous 4 years.
And you had done the work of building the KBID outlet as a distribution channel. I'll say this much. The KBID distribution channel is one that very few people in the sports card hobby have recognized or taken advantage of.
Yeah, I don't.
It's kind of an obscure one, right?
It's mine.
And it's not like we're saying it's not available, but like, let's be honest, not a lot of people want to grind out some of that work, you know. And so that's part of it too. Back to our initial point is, if someone's willing to work in cards, whether you want to do quarter box, try to do graded, I mean, there's all these avenues to go. But like you're saying, find somebody who's a little bit further ahead than you. And I've been surrounded by a lot of those guys, and I still am. I mean, even Jeremy, when we're there this weekend, I'm always like gleaning things.
I'm always picking at the brain.
I mean, you between you and Jeremy, it took you guys 2 years to convince me that I need a company credit card because I'm leaving money on the table by not getting cash back on all our expenses. Like all the money we're spending. So little things like that.
And that's the other thing too is if you're a dealer, listen to other dealers. They have different strategies on what they do.
Find out how they're making money and what's their business model, and go, is there any of this I can implement? Now, not every business is the same, but they're still
or maybe not wired for that way of doing it. There's things that you do, like we talked about this. I'm gonna foreshadow a little bit. We were having a little argument one night, and we'll tell the story next. But we were having a little argument, but you said, John, you could just take that money and go to car shows and buy high-end cars and make more money. I'm like, I don't do that.
That's
yet.
Not a thing. Not yet.
No, but that
still might.
Maybe I will. But
I didn't do it earlier.
That's not a thing I do. Yep. That's not an option. So let's get into the story. So that's a foreshadow. Good. So we're jumping ahead to Sunday morning.
No, right? Well, the conversation was all throughout Saturday night.
Oh, that's right. It was Saturday.
I'm sorry. Yep.
So I had. So the goal was to sell as much wax as I could.
Partly because we didn't know if we could fit it all coming back. We're like.
So I wanted to sell retail out as much as I could. And I'm making bulk deals, but retail it out.
Yep.
And then I was going to go to Baseball Card Exchange and just see what offered. Now, I had to send them an email about what I had. I knew they were interested.
Yep.
And the stuff I had. I had went over there, and I won't get into the whole nitty-gritty because I don't think they did anything wrong. So I don't want to – I had some impressions, but that doesn't need to be said here. They had given me an offer, and I cannot remember the offer. Do you remember what the total was?
Yeah, I think it was like $6,500. Is that right?
What was my commission was $1,800, so 18, 36, 40, 50, $6,000.
6,000.
6,000.
Yep, 6 even.
And so they came over, they looked at it, they went back, they came back, they said 6. And I tried to, I'll tell this little part. I tried to go, well, there was this box of 1972 Donruss vote cards, which was the weirdest, most obscure thing I've ever seen. And I was particularly enamored with that product. And by the way, on the side of the box, it says Donruss. Oh, what was the slogan? Donruss? Happiness is a Donruss product.
Happiness is a
Donruss product. And so now my joke about this stuff, it was just like a 90 card sticker set. And my joke about it was, I think it was to get the hippies to vote for Nixon. I
actually think you're spot on.
I mean, I don't know. And so I said, but because I was enamored with it, I said, well, what would it be without the Donruss vote?
So you're trying to kind of itemize a little bit.
Yeah, just kind of see with that. He goes, no, I just. That's what we wanted it all before, because I sent them the whole list. I think they missed out on everything.
Yeah.
And so, and I don't know if that impacted the price, but he didn't want to negotiate. He didn't want to talk to me about it or anything. So I said, okay, well, let me think about it. He goes back. I'm just kind of looking at it from a few different ways, and I'm like, it was very clear that he didn't want to negotiate at all. He didn't want to have a conversation with me.
Yeah, it was kind of this is
my number or nothing.
Yeah.
And so, and I don't even mean in like a really bad way. Just like it was very clear, there was no wiggle room and his standpoint. And so the answer was no, right? So we get back to the house and he said, "Hey man, what's up with baseball card exchange, whatever?" And I told you, and what preceded was
2 hours of me trying to convince him to take the deal.
Just you and Steve.
Well, what I was doing was here was the one caveat. One of the reasons I was so adamant, I was treating it as though I wasn't saying, how do I put it?
Well,
as though you didn't have one more day to sell.
One of the things,
had you not had one more day to sell.
I think this is the reason why. Yeah. One of the things I said was, I'll just go back and tell my client I'll match that offer.
Yep.
And I get a 30% discount. Right? Yep. I'll just match that offer, right? Now, the flaw in that is he could have said, nah, I want to keep it. I mean, I can't make him take the offer.
Then you get zero.
Yeah, then I get zero.
You hold it there.
That was a real risk, and I understood that risk. So then, you were telling me like I should have took it. I should go back the next day and beg him for that.
And here's my point. And I'm not going to say John was wrong in this. The point I was trying to make is oftentimes taking the bird in the hand, meaning, okay, I have this offer here. I don't know. There's some unknown, which is always the truth, as far as how long is it going to actually take me to sell $6,000 worth of this stuff. And then at that point, I've only made the same amount, and now I could have put that effort into the collection we bought at the Dells. That had you have the Dells stuff and that.
So there was a couple points you made, and I'll still adamantly say that these were just not great points, because one point was you can take that money and buy something else with it.
Yep.
I already have cash in reserve.
But I think you can buy more liquid, profitable items.
But that's what I'm saying. Is you can take that $1,800 and buy another collection with it, right?
Do you want a box of Donruss vote?
No, but you take that $1,800 and buy another collection with it. I have $1,800 in cash.
Yeah, but then you're tying up your energy.
Energy. But that wasn't the argument. The argument was a money play, right? And I have the money.
But I think you can spend that money even on low end unopened wax at a.
But right now
show.
I have cash to sit there, right? So that wasn't.
But that's
really
not my fault.
No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying, but I have cash.
I'll sell you some cards.
I have cash to sit there, man. So there was that, and then so we ended up making a bet. So the bet was 3 months or 6 months. I think it was 6 months.
I think it was 6 months. Yep. Christmas
6 months. It was $1,800 plus $500. So for labor, because if I just sold it to him, I was doing more work.
Yep.
And he said in 6 months.
And I don't have to haul it home.
Yeah. So in 6 months. You said you won't make back.
You won't make the same 1,800 plus 5.
Plus 5 in 6 months, and I'm like, I disagree. And one of the things I said after you made the bet is I said it was $20.
Yeah.
Yeah. I go, I might win your $20 tomorrow, and I don't know if you quite grasp that was a possibility until the very end of that argument.
Well, I mean, no, I knew it was a possibility. And actually, to be honest, I was hopeful.
Oh, yeah.
I was hopeful I was going to give you 20 because if you brought those back,
yeah,
it was worth way more than 20.
You were going to get punished, too. And so the next day comes up, and I made 4 deals and sold the remainder for... I made an extra $1,000 in commission.
7. Oh, an extra
$1,000, so an extra $3,000. So I like $10,000.
9.
No, 9, but then it went past that a little bit more.
Yep.
And so that's right, because I said 9 would have been a good number for me. I would have sold it to them for 9, and ended up doing $9,400.
Nice.
So I not only made an extra $1,000, but I made $400. I did calculate it right, and so.
So sometimes it is a better option. To your point, sometimes it is a better option to sell it in 4 pieces and get more. Sometimes it is a better option to move it all in one, depending on.
Here's the lesson I think I would take out of this is one of the key points. Well, there's one key point Steve said. He told me 2 things. He told me what he thought your best point was in the argument, what he thought my best point was. I don't remember what your best point was. He said, because who cares?
Probably wasn't.
But he said my best point was, how come it's a good deal for them to buy it at that price, but it's not a good deal for me to get a 30% discount on their number? And I was like, yeah, I mean, that was a point that I put out there, and I was like, fair enough. That's why I made the point, But I think one of the things I thought of after. The day was over and we were talking about it. I said, I had done a lot of work researching the products, researching the price points and stuff. Yep. And I think the lesson was if you put the work into something and you have that really strong belief that you're right and you're confident in it, you kind of got to stick to that. Now,
yeah, I agree.
You guys were complaining a little bit that I kept arguing the point. I kept prolonging the argument.
You're being a good salesman at that
point. But understand what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get you guys to convince me to sell it.
Right.
I'm trying to get your best argument back to me. That's when I debate or argue.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to convince you. I'm trying to convince me.
Yeah. You're like, do I really hold to this belief?
Can you make me a good enough argument where I'm like,
to talk me off of this?
Oh yeah. Yes. Like what am I thinking of? And 100%. What I
think that's actually a good skill.
Yeah.
To learn.
But you have to be able to change your mind, too. If you never change your mind, it doesn't work.
You can't dig in as though, like, what you're doing in that is you're letting the truth of either argument win.
Right.
And you're kind of mediating over the logically, like, and that's the problem is so often it's an emotional thing for people versus like and now I was emotional because I thought it was a win.
Well.
I thought it was a win for you.
Yeah.
Now, I was super happy that you made that extra $1,000. It was worth it. Now, the question is, you rolled the dice a little bit because when you let them walk on 6, you could have not sold it, and then coming back, now you'd be hustling to try to get back to the same number.
My argument is I probably would have made 10 off of it. So I would have had I been that was a risk. Maybe I wouldn't have been able to buy it.
Yep.
But I would have had I bought at that number. I probably would have made 10.
Made 10 or
I would have made 10.
Yeah, made.
Yeah. So, but what I'm saying is, one, you have to be willing to be honest with yourself that you're wrong, 100%. Right?
Humility.
And I know I've done that enough times. I've done it a few times with you where we've had drag outs.
Yeah.
And we get to and you say something. I go.
We both have admitted. Yeah.
Well, no, you'll say something. I'll go. Hey, and oh shit, that's a good point.
Yeah.
You might have to bleep that out. But that's literally how I die.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the first swear. So I'm like, oh crap, because I'm like, I do want to win the argument, but I have to be honest with myself that that's an interesting way of looking at it.
And I think we all want to be at a place where we're willing to look at why we believe what we do, why we do what we do.
Yeah.
I.e., I'm still trying to get John to get the label maker for his
But ultimately, if I can go through the gauntlet of one of my oldest friends, and one of my best business partnerships, and I can get through that and still go, no. I got to be pretty confident.
Well, then I think you do roll with it. And guess what? You rolling with it paid off.
And here's the thing: I still can be wrong. It's just I'm not saying you're right if you do that. I'm just saying like you're pretty confident at that point. For sure. Now we got a bet going. Now I got to pay off the bet. That was back.
But now what jealous you have is now you have a little incentive. Whereas if you did come back with it, to kind of get after it because you're like I also recognize I do want it to be a profitable use of my time.
Right.
And like Mike and I had a conversation on the way here. Actually, he was out looking at a collection today, and the people wanted $5,000 for it. And I think our best offer on the whole thing was $4,000. And he stuck with that because he's like, we're at a place where like we don't need it.
Yeah.
The work is like we'll do the work at that point, but we won't do it at that point.
Absolutely.
Because at that point, literally, that's what we're working for. Is that $1,000?
Now, one of the things that's interesting you mentioned that is after it was all said and done, I looked at what I made. I looked at the cost of the national, the opportunity cost of closing the shop. I will never do that again on consignment.
Yep.
I have to own this product.
Now, though,
I did not get compensated. Yep. So it's really weird because I did not get compensated appropriately with the commission because I'm upfronting all the costs, taking all the risks.
Yep.
But I'm really happy the way it went down because what it did was it lowered my risk for my first national.
Right.
So it's one of those weird things where I would never do it again, but I'm so happy that it happened the way it happened.
Yep.
That almost never happens.
Part of it is like, let's be honest,
usually you're mad about it, and then
that collection, if it walked in and you hadn't had this experience, there's a question of like, will this stuff even sell at the national? Now you know.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Now you know
now
you can sell it.
It's going to sell really well. There's multiple people that
Buyers.
were really interested, and so
So now you're in a place where next year that stuff walks in. You just buy it.
I'm not. The answer is no. We'll put it on K-bid or I got to buy it.
No, you just buy it.
No, but what I mean, if I can't buy it, we'll throw it on K-bid. It's just not. It's not worth it for me to give up over half my booth, a third car. It's just all that stuff if I'm not getting the upside of the item. But it's so I'm just fascinating that I'm happy about what happened, but I would never do it again. Like, what is that?
Think about this. This is a business. This comes all the way back full circle to Fanatics, actually. Because what we're hitting on here is if you have the money and the expertise and the distribution channel, you're always best to be selling the item yourself.
Yeah.
And not.
Well,
right? I mean,
and then the other problem is it was very frustrating. Because I couldn't negotiate. Yes. I have an allegiance to a third party that I have to protect. Yep. And it makes negotiating.
It puts you in
weird.
a tougher spot.
And I can't keep stuff. I have to sell. I mean, it's just very odd.
Yep.
Whereas on K-bid and eBay, it's like, no, we set a price. When it sells, I pay you out. It's a very relaxed situation.
Yep. And I've had guys over the years who are like, hey, let's rip this box and we'll split it and whatever. And I'm just like, no. Here's what I'd rather do. Let's rip the box. And if one of us wants to buy the other guy, let's just make it a one. Because like the logistics on that, on the accounting side of consignment, is the reason we don't consign. Yeah. Now you're set up for it.
I am a consignment seller, but I'm a very controlled environment consignment seller. Yes. So whether it's on eBay or on K-bid, it's very controlled. How I list stuff, how I collect the money, how it gets paid out. I'm driving Chicago. Right. By the way, my client. This is the other thing. My client has no idea what I actually sold stuff for.
Right.
Now, I'm an honest guy. Yeah. I reported every penny that I collected. Yeah. But so there's some of that, and then I paid him very well, so he's extremely happy with what I did.
Well, let me say this too, though. Back to the previous point I made about trading, it does handcuff you in that sense.
Yeah, I could have traded for stuff.
Because somebody walks up with like some modern wax, they go, "Hey, you want to trade for some of this vote?"
I can't because I have to. But you
would have liked to. If you
the only way you can really do it is you have to buy it at your discounted rate,
which is just
it's not worth messing with.
It takes away the benefit to trading enough where it's like, now
I've done that a couple times in the shop where somebody wanted like one of your cards, and then they wanted a deal, and what I did was I donated my commission to the deal.
Sure.
So I just took it away from my side because I liked the deal. Yep. So you got your full commission, but I basically was like, well, I can do the deal. I'm gonna make $10. I can lower it another $10. What do I care? Yep. I would have made $10, but if I would have lost the deal, would I have made $10? Right. So I'll do that. That's a little easier to do. Right. This is a lot more.
And chaotic. I've noticed from some of these guys doing trades that trades are a great tool in the toolbox to really get the ball rolling. And when you have 100% control over all your inventory, it affords you a little more flexibility. Right. Now you can, like you said, if you're super diligent accounting wise, you can still make it happen. Yeah. But it becomes a little more cumbersome and just.
Now, do you have another story before the end of the show? Because I got my last story.
Well, here's my last story is
149.
Nice. John and I have always been of the same mindset that like we're usually the last guys to leave, and I was really glad I didn't pack up early. Literally, everyone was packed up around us.
Yeah.
And I did
how many sales did you do?
I did one $2,000 sale of like 8 slabs or 9 slabs with a guy literally at $450 because they closed at 5, right?
Yep.
And then literally on the walk out, I think I sold like another $100 or $200 of like random cards. So like, it's like we're already here. We're already here. What I mean, I already got the cards out here.
Again, if you're starting out, you're doing shows, do not pack up early. You've been there all week, all weekend, all day, whatever it is. Why do you got to get out of there 45 minutes early? What are you trying to get to?
Right.
So I'll use that and go into my last story about the National.
On the way home.
So I'm not packing up nothing.
Right.
5 o'clock hits. Everything's still set up. I'm eating a snack. And me and Lucky are just hanging out in the booth, right? I sell another $500 in the next 2 hours.
Nice.
Just $500 in 2 hours. Think about that. I did card shows all day where I want to sell $500.
Oh, my first card show at Franson's, I did like $60,
there you
$40.
Go. And so now part of that was I'm not fighting for that stupid bay door. Yeah. There's one bay door in my area. I'm not fighting with a bunch of people trying to negotiate. You know how like when you land on a plane and then everybody stands up and they crook their head to the side because the ceiling's not tall enough, and then they stand there for 20 minutes?
Don't be that guy.
I'm in my seat going like, this seat is really uncomfortable, but not as uncomfortable as you standing like that for 20 minutes.
100%.
So I'm not. So I'm like, good. And so I made another $500 in sales, something like that. And right as the show was ending, like he comes back and goes, I found this. He found a DJ Ski card stand that was at the eBay booth sitting on a table, like on an empty table.
Like got knocked over or something.
Yeah, like parts that fell on the floor and somebody just put it up on a random table. I'm like, oh, that's so awesome. So so I actually went on the Discord and I told the story, you know, my buddy found this stand and blah, blah, and like, were you guys putting, because this is stuff that they would do. Yep. They would put it out randomly for people to find. I said, were you guys putting it out, or did it just randomly fall and then I got it? He goes, must have been random. And then I did the thing that I have to do because I'm me, but I don't want the person to say yes. Yeah. I said, do you want the card stand back?
Yeah.
And I'm like, please say no. And he goes, no, you're good. I'm like, I get to keep the card stand. So now that card stand belongs to me because it didn't really belong to me until like DJ Skate literally responded to my inquiry.
Nice.
And then I said, do you want it back? And he's like, no, you're good. And I'm like, oh, sweet. Now it's mine. Now it's fully mine. Like, I didn't like, I took it from you.
No sense of like, this guy stole this.
Yeah, right. And so I'm super happy about that. So we hang out for a while. All of a sudden, most people are gone. I go get the car. We pack up. I get into a fight on the floor with another guy. I get into an argument with somebody. So I pull in the car, and I'm about to make that turn into my booth. And the car is sitting there, and I wait about 30 seconds. There's no lights on. It's not moving, nothing. And right as I turn in, they start barreling down and, like, meet me. Like, they're 4 inches from my grill. And they roll down the window. They're screaming, back up, back up. And I'm just like, so what I'm going to do is I motion to my left. Like, there's a gap where I can pull in and you can go past me.
Yeah.
And they're screaming, back up, back up. But I can't do that because they're 3 inches away from my grill. They want me to back all the way up, all the way around. I'm not doing that. And I'm like, bro, you can watch me load up my car or I can pull in here. So I go, hey, back up. And I motion there. And these two old guys are just screaming. So finally I'm like, I don't bark at passing cars. Right? These guys are chained up dogs behind a fence barking at passing cars. I just get out. I'm 6'2", 300 pounds. Like, I just read them the right of that. And so I'm just I don't even know what I said, but I said, I go back up just a smidgen so I can pull in here so you can get past, or you can watch me load up my car. Which one you want to do? And he goes, and he backed up. And, they give me the finger and whatever. I'm like, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
So I look up, everybody's looking. I'm just like, what is wrong with these are very old school dealers. I refer to these old school dealers from time to time. They just got weird attitudes.
You call them the underbelly of.
No, I don't think they were scumbags. They're just like they were just like grumpy
Angry,
old card guys.
yeah,
like,
exactly.
So we pack up. I go. He killed it for me all weekend. Like, he got cards in people's hands. He's not even a card guy, right? Like, I mean, just getting DJ ski cards. Like, I was paying everybody off too, but like, Lucky's awesome, right? Oh, yeah. So I'm like, he's got to go to O'Hare, but he's not flying out till 5 a.m. Said, let's go get a pizza from that place down the road.
Yep.
And so we got a pizza. I'm just hyped. First of all, I have $30,000 in cash in my bag.
Right.
Is a little unnerving.
That's always exciting.
I'm like, I thought I got the bag on me at the restaurant. I'm not leaving that in the car.
Yeah, it's always fun when you have multiple money bags. You can't.
How about this? How about this? Half of the money wasn't mine.
Right.
So now I got to protect it for somebody else. Oh, we get dinner. I drop them off. And you guys were either going to stop in Madison or Dells and go to the casino. Cool. I get in the road at 9. I'm driving. Mm-hmm. I tap out. What did I say I tapped out at? Janesville.
Janesville. Yeah.
So I just got past Madison. I already knew at that point you guys went to Dells.
Yep.
Because there wasn't a hotel. We were going to get a hotel next to the casino.
Yep.
But apparently the Madison casino sucked.
Yeah, they didn't have a hotel there.
So I'm at Janesville, and I'm like, I'm out. I don't care about these guys anymore. I hung out for 10 days with you.
Take some time.
And so I get there, and the hotel is full. There's 3 hotels. They're all full. The parking lot's are packed. I'm like, what's going on? It's like carnival or whatever. I'm like, shoot.
Wow.
So I go get an energy drink. I hadn't had one since that morning, so it perked me up enough. I get to Dells. You're texting me like, hey, you can stay in our room. I'm like, nope. I go, like, do you have a room? They're like, we got a king studio. I'm like, oh, no. Like, how much is that? Like $170. I'm like, that sounds so cheap right now. And so I got that. It was a swanky little room, but it's like 11 hours for $170. So, but I had the greatest week of my life.
Yeah.
By the way, I said that to a customer in the store. I've told the story a few times. Yeah. And they go, don't you have a child? And I said, what's your point?
Don't tell her.
What's your point? I go, I've been collecting cards far longer than I've been a dad.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And Kirby will get to go to the national.
Hey, Kirby, if you're 29 years old listening to the back catalog here, you're number 2. Yeah. Like, that's cool. You and your mom tied for number 2. That's cool.
Tied for number 2.
Like, whatever.
Mom was involved in both.
But here's the thing. Okay. But here's the thing. Like, card's the number 1. That everybody knows that, right?
It was a crazy good week.
So I it's such a great week, and I'm feeling good. We go get Cracker Barrel in the morning. I get in the car. We're ready to leave Cracker Barrel, and you're waiting for
Chris.
He's in the bathroom or something. Yeah, and I'm like putting the address. I go, oh no! I get out of my car and I walk up to you while you're sitting there. I go, where's my money?
He wants his $20.
I want my $20.
I guess the best 20.
I told him I paid for breakfast. I go, I'll pay for breakfast, but you ain't getting away with that $20.
I'll pay for breakfast, but I want my 20.
Like the breakfast was like that 20 is very valuable right now.
That was awesome.
And so I start driving, right? So,
what's crazy about this is, to back up for a second,
oh.
John committed to going to this national. You didn't even have the shop open.
I didn't have the shop yet.
You thought it was going to be Atlantic City.
Yep.
Atlantic City gets canceled.
Yep.
You end up doing so. Literally, you had put money down on committing to go to this national, having no idea
2 years prior
all that was going to happen in between that, and then now it's like
it wasn't even a guarantee that I'd have a card store.
You'd have a store. You didn't know what inventory. You thought maybe you'd be bringing clothes.
Yeah.
Like apparel. I mean, apparel and hats, and you had
absolutely. I was like, how am I going to attack it?
Vintage wax vote boxes.
Like crazy. So now that's the premise. I haven't started the story yet.
Oh my!
Right. So I'm driving home from Dells, and I'm down the road a good ways, and I'm like, okay, in 30 minutes I'm gonna stop and get water. I get something to drink, get a snack, whatever. You know me, like I like to stop a lot because my knees bind up. I gotta walk around and stuff, and so I'm thinking 30 minutes, right? I get a text from Lockheed. I sent him a message the night before when I got into the hotel, and he's responding to my text. So I'm looking, I see it's from Lucky, and I immediately think, this is all in an instant. I go, I'm going to send him a reply, because I don't text and drive. Don't text and drive, kids. I never text and drive. And I don't even answer my phone when I'm driving. And I'll send him a reply when I am 30 minutes. As I'm looking back up to the windshield to look back to the road, like this is a very fast, maybe 3 seconds, my gas light is on in my car. I'm out of gas.
Yep. I
never got gas in Chicago, and I didn't get gas in Wisconsin Dells. I've never once looked at the gas gauge since I left Chicago. I hate Chicago, by the way. The stupid toll road. Everybody drives 95 miles an hour. I
never paid for those tolls. They won't show up.
Yeah, you did. I'll tell you after the. I'll tell you how it works.
Okay.
I'll actually show it to you. So I hate it. You can't get off the toll road because then you got to get back on the toll road. And then like the stupid Oasis thing, like I've never done it, but it looks dumb. And so I never even looked at my gas gauge, right? My heart jumps. I'm like, no. But it's not like on the line. I got a little gap. And so I look up, and Black River Falls is coming up in 7 miles. I'm like, now I used to live on E in Washington, D.C., so I know my car can go a little way.
Oh, yeah, you get 20 miles.
Now,
like,
Black River Falls is where I stayed after the first Dells show because I couldn't keep my eyes open. So I knew exactly what was at the exit. I'm like, there's 2 gas stations there. Done. I have a lot of anxiety, and as a general rule, but like I was confident, but I still had anxiety until I got to the exit. I get to the gas station. All right, story starts. Well, actually, the story started with the email from Lucky. So I'm the best week of my life. Yep. I just lucked out where my college roommate sent me a text that made me see that I ran out of gas because I would be on the side of the road in about 10 minutes. I get out of the car. I really have to go to the bathroom. Like, you know that thing where I'm going to pump and then go to the bathroom? I took the pump out, and I put the pump back, and I got to go to the bathroom. I go to the door of the gas station. The bathroom's out of order. Use the porta potty in the back parking lot. I don't like using public bathrooms. I'm sure the hell not going to use a porta potty in the back parking lot of a Black River Falls gas station. It's not going to happen. So I'm like, I'm a man, and so I sucked it all in. However you want to say that. And I'm immediately going to another gas station. There's options, right? So I'm going to get gas, and I'm going to just suck it up and go to another place. As I'm turning, I see a sign for the casino 3 miles down the road. I go, you taught me how to play Ultimate Hold'em in Des Moines.
Yes.
I'm gonna best week of my life. I lucked out. I'm gonna push my luck, and I'm gonna win $100 at Ultimate Hold'em, and send you a text and be like, "What's up, son? I want $100."
Go.
Right? And so I get gas. I get to the casino. I go, where's the bathroom? I go to the bathroom. All the cones are up. They're cleaning the bathroom. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I kind of walk in a little bit, and the guy's in there, and I said, can I use the bathroom? He goes, I just cleaned that stall. Oh, hallelujah. I got a brand new clean stall. Luckiest week of my life, right? So I'm like, all right, we're definitely going to win some money at Ultimate Hold'em. So I get done. Got to go clean the stall again. And then I go to the floor. And there are no table games in Black River Falls, which is a bunch of junk, right? It was all like slot machines. I like playing slots. I'm walking around, and I find a multi-game machine. Had single-hand blackjack, video poker, and Keno. I play a few hands of blackjack, like $1 a hand. Yep. Like I put 140 in the machine. I play a few hands. I'm up a buck, and I'm just like, you couldn't double. Like I'm like, this sucks. And so I play like 2 hands of video poker for $1 a piece, and I'm up another $1, and I'm just like, I want to go home. Like, I'm tired. I want to go home. And so, no, I'm not going to get my ticket and get my 140. I'm going to lose 140.
Right.
That's what I'm going to do. So I go to Keno. I like playing Keno. I've actually watched like videos on Keno strategy, which I don't know if there's a such thing, but whatever. But like, I like Keno. It's a fun game. I've won at Keno before. So I put in my numbers. Mm-hmm. And I go to the max bet, which is $8 a bet. And I hit it, I lose, I hit it, I lose, I hit it, and it says 10 free players, which 12 free players, 8 times 12. Mm-hmm. Well, $96 worth of free players. Let's just say when I get done, I hit the ticket what was the ticket amount?
$750 or something, or
$698.
$698.
$698 from 140 in there. I get my money. I get the hell out. I'm calling you as I'm walking back to the car.
Just a free roll.
I'm like, Clint, what's up? This is the greatest week of my life. Ah. And I said, and
it's
I
like
get
Mike. Mike hit a jackpot in Chicago. He had like 5,000.
Why are you ruining my story?
Oh,
why you got to 10 times my story,
No,
Clint?
that's not what it was.
Wow, that was mean. Okay,
He was betting a lot more respect.
like
so
whatever. Yeah.
This guy's
So
just a slob.
I call you, and at the end of the phone call, I go, I talked a little bit on a podcast, but I grew up in a very chaotic household, and the way it works in my childhood is if anything small good happened to me, I would get punished for that immediately.
Right.
Like something really bad would happen.
Like when's the bad coming?
So and for the last 20 years that hasn't really been the case, but I still have that mentality. Good things happen, bad things happen.
It's getting broken though, I think.
And so I told you, I said, this is the best week of my life. This is the luckiest week. Now luck isn't luck. It's the manifestation of all the work I put into it.
Right.
But I'm referring to it as luck. I said my luck has changed for the rest of my life, or I'm gonna die in a car crash on the way home. And I'm gonna tell you, don't say that. And I go, I'm gonna drive so safe. But I'm gonna tell you something. That entire drive back, I was convinced I was gonna get into a really bad accident. I was convinced. 2 people cut me off, and I'm like, hey man, I'm sure you got somewhere to be. Like that is not my normal reaction when someone cuts me off. I'm a finger guy. I'm a yeller guy. Like I'm sure you're a more important person than me. Let me give you some room.
Yeah, let's let you get to the most important.
I'm just trying to get home. So I get home.
And I don't want this money to burn.
Dude, yeah, absolutely. I get there. I'm standing in my driveway, and I am, and this is not an exaggeration. I am baffled that I'm still alive. Absolutely baffled by it. I'm like, I can't believe I got here without getting in an accident. So I hang out at the house for a while. And then at about 8 o'clock, that was like 4. I get some food, whatever. And I'm like, I got to go to the store and drop some stuff off, do a little bit of work. And right as I'm about to open the door, I go, I bet it's water. Because I still think something bad's going to happen, right? So I'm convinced like a pipe broke and the floor is just covered in water and destroying a bunch of inventory. Yeah. So I bet it's water. Because water kind of follows me too. And I open up the door and I'm like I'm looking at the store, I'm looking all around, and I go, all right, okay, luck it is. And so the door is closing behind me, and I go do something, and I turn around, 2 of my clothing racks had fallen. And I'm staring at it, because what happened was the top rack, one of the brackets failed, and then it collapsed into the bottom rack, so and 2 of them broke. Yeah, and so I'm looking at it, and I go, oh, I don't care. Like, this is the bad thing. I'm
that's
good.
That's it? We're good. Okay.
Like I'd rather have the 550.
Some small.
Yeah, right. And so here's the end of the story. Not only did I not care, but 2 days after I got back, I realized I'm not putting the racks back up. I'm putting a 6-foot display case over there because I sell a hell of a lot more cards and collectibles than I do apparel in the store. And I would have never have done that had they not fallen.
Right.
I'm going to make more money this year because they fell. That was more good luck.
When something fails, sometimes it's an opportunity for change. That's
so literally nothing bad happened and only good things happen.
Even what seemed bad becomes good.
Yeah. I was like, I might put it back up. I might do something else.
And actually, there's actually a scripture about that. It says that he works all things to the good of those who love him. So all things to the good, meaning even bad things can be worked for my good if I'll respond to the process. Right. And that's no different than like the setbacks we've all had in business have produced something if you don't quit.
A lot of times what it produces is a learning opportunity.
Yep.
I lost. Like, I had one customer come in with some jerseys, and they were all fake. There was one that maybe wasn't, but it probably was. And that's what I told him. I said, I can't. They're China bootleg, and I go, I can't sell those in the store. And then he told me what he paid. He goes, I paid $100. And I go, oh, who cares?
Yeah.
And I wanted to say it in a way where I'm not saying who cares about your $100, but like that is a cheap lesson. That is a cheap. I taught him what to look for.
Well, and you should have told him, I paid more than $30,000 to go to school. At least it wasn't 30 grand.
And I spent 4 years of my life and $60,000 on college, right? You know, it's like, so I'm like $100. Like, okay, now that failure brought you here. I taught you what to look for.
Yep. Now you won't.
And
do
now
it again.
if you ever come across them again, you actually know what to look for.
Yeah.
All you had to do is spend $100.
And you probably won't do it. And cost yourself $5,000 now.
You know
what I mean? You're not
like you came across a bigger trove.
Yep.
You know, and then awesome. He has a vending company, but he buys and sells stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, if you ever find this stuff or this stuff or this stuff, and so maybe we'll have a relationship in the future.
It's awesome.
More opportunity.
National Week, wow.
National Week is over. So we'll do a little bit of Dell's next taping, and then whatever craziness occurs between now and then.
I'll tell you about the Vegas Summit probably.
There you go.
There in a couple weeks. All right, guys, have a good week.
Thanks for listening.